Welcome everyone to another episode of the Black Spinner Music Podcast. And today we got a special episode. With us today is Al Horta from Be Cool or Be Podcast Out.
Hello, everybody.
It's still a great name, jeez.
Yeah. And Kate, and we have Kate Doré from the International House of Vinyl.
Howdy, y'all.
Great place to go and buy new vinyl. She's a great, what would you say, like an auctioneer?
Sure, yeah.
You serve pancakes with that?
Amateur.
Well, she's great at it. She'll tell you everything about the album, and she'll
pancakes
tell you
I'm flipping are black.
And also we got Jerry from BS Sessions with Mark and Jerry. Welcome, guys.
Jerry.
Buddy.
Today we have a special episode. I don't think I've seen this anywhere else. The top 10 of our top 10 picks of the MTV Unplugged episodes that ran from, let's say, like
89.
From 89 to like the
now.
late 2010s to now.
Yeah.
To now, okay. Thank you so much, Al. You see Mr. Facts over here. Thank you so much. From 89 to present.
To me, the golden era was 89 to like probably 96, 97.
Yeah, 89 to 99 was regular episodes, and then like 2000 to 2010 or so is occasional.
I think a lot more in
But
Europe.
they still do them.
I think
Yeah,
a lot
there's a bunch of European ones, and then there's like Spanish and Mexican ones too.
Yeah.
Well, because MTV stopped playing music too, so they're really
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and then there were some spoken word ones and some hip hop and R&B ones. But I kind of stuck to pretty much rock in my list. But as I was saying before we went on there, a lot of these performances were very heartfelt or very celebratory of their chosen genre. So I really had a good time. I think we all had a good time going through these unplugged sessions and seeing these unbelievable performances that were made for MTV. It was a wonderful time, and music as well during that era. So without further ado, does anyone have anything that they need to add? Over at Be Cool or Be Podcast Out on YouTube, Al has been posting some live shows. Go check them out because they are fantastic quality. They are the whole shows, and he doesn't shake. So it looks great on there.
I have a stealth way of doing it that doesn't bother anybody behind me, and I know how to do it and still enjoy the show. I'm not looking through my screen. I just occasionally look at it. It rests on my knee, usually like my phone, and I have like a little tripod that I bring with me. It's like a little tiny tripod. It's only like this tall.
Yeah.
But it helps me hold the phone like steadier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, holding the phone like this all night, it's fucking not gonna work, dude. Sorry.
Never gonna happen.
No. But I do it where it's not gonna take away the enjoyment of the show. Like I'll still get into the show, but still be able to tape it. Everybody's always like, "Oh, you don't fucking enjoy the show doing that." I'm like, you don't know how I do it, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you aren't just staring,
I don't hold it up in
phone,
front of anybody's face either.
Yeah. The short people like me appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, the last thing I put up was the whole Scorpion show. They just played Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
It was the 50th anniversary Golden Jubilee, the Bangladesh, and they had like a Bangladesh. It was kind of an eclectic Bangladesh band that opened up for them. And I actually for the hell of it, I taped their set as well, and it just blew up on my YouTube channel. Like I guess all the Europeans and Bangladesh are like getting into it, man, because it's like I guess it's rare to see this band on YouTube,
Yeah, they might be stars somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, shit. I think like in a couple of days. I mean, I saw it Friday. I think the Scorpion set's already at 8,000 views.
Damn.
Already.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, it's up there, man. So,
Wow. Well, that's.
Scorpion's such an international band, man. I mean, a lot of people love them. So,
But I want to ask you about about the Bangladesh or like Indian band that started before. Would you say that they were like on a set, like right on like the way that a concert for Bangladesh with George Harrison started with those players? Was it kind of reminiscent of that?
Well, they played like like I know the one guy on a couple of songs he was playing the sitar, and they were playing like some odd instruments, and it was a female vocalist. And I think their set was only a little over a half hour. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
They even said something like they had to cut their songs like kind of short, you know. And sorry about that. That was my phone. But they were kind of cool. I mean, like sometimes I like that weird stuff, man. It was a lot of Indian. I mean, it would look like the United Nations in Massacre Gone. It was all races, and it was cool, man. It was it looked like United Nations in there. But the thing is it was in the Massacre Gone, but they ended up. I had upper level seats, and they ended up upgrading me down almost the side stage, and they were awesome seats. And they closed off the upper bowl. I guess wasn't enough tickets sold, so they moved everybody down.
Okay.
And it looked like there was cameras on Boom, so I wonder if they were officially like actually videoing the show as well. I would think they probably were. So maybe it'll get an official release one day.
Especially Madison Square Garden. I'd assume every band wants to film that if they're playing there.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But it was a cool show.
Oh yeah, man! It looked great, and Klaus sounded great.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it. It recorded really well.
Yeah, he surprised. I mean, I think he's like 73 or something. So he's awesome, man. He still sounds good.
And Kate, you said something about 50 compilations. What's that about?
Oh no! I was saying so there's over 100 unplugs that they've done. But album releases, there's only about 50, and there's a handful of compilations, and then the rest of them are all the individual releases.
Right.
So it's interesting that they've done so many, but not every band or artist has released an actual album. So I thought that was interesting. But I was going to say they've won a Peabody, they've won Emmys and different things for doing those shows. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's something to say about these shows. It was the stage and the whole ambiance that set the mood for these shows.
Yeah, like all the candle lighting and different stuff that they would do on different ones, and the way they would have it set, like where the musicians specifically were and different things. Like you could see everyone, and everyone's on different levels, and I mean they knock it out of the park on that.
It was just so intimate, man. I would have loved to see one of those live, man.
I know. I can't imagine. And then a lot of times, like whoever it is getting off the stage and shaking hands with the front row, and just awesome.
And also, you said only certain ones were released. I was looking for something on Apple, and I noticed that on. Oh, well, I'm going to give one away, but y'all don't know where it is. On Stone Temple Pilots, on the Super Deluxe edition of Core. They've got their whole MTV Unplugged set on
all
there.
the MTVs are on there. Yeah.
Jerry, you got anything to add?
No, man. I'm looking forward to doing this. Like I said, I had to do some backtracking on some of these, man. Some of them I didn't even know they existed until I watched them. It was a cool time in 89 and 90 for me. I was like 18 and 19, man. I was just living on my own for the first time. It was just a cool period of time. The MTV was playing music.
It was a great era, man.
It was just a fucking great time. Excuse my language.
No,
and like I said, these shows are so cool because they're so intimate, man. It's like, so personal. Because back then bands were like so huge and larger than life. But they played these huge arenas. They dressed up in all these fancy, especially the late 80s, early 90s, and it was nice to see these bands kind of come back down to earth and play.
Yeah, with just their stripped down instruments that they probably learned how to play in the first place.
Yeah.
And sketched out these songs before they made them bigger and available to the public. All right. So further ado, let's get started, everybody. Let's go clockwise. Let's go out, Kate, Jerry and myself. So let's start off with number 10.
All right.
Wow.
I had a hard time actually, like with like the last one, but see, a lot of the early ones, man, like they were so short. They would usually put like two artists into one half-hour episode, so it wasn't that long of sets, you know. But I gotta go with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Joe Satriani. Stevie Ray Vaughan plays his fucking ass off, man.
Yeah.
The version of Pride and Joy on there is like a master
that.
class.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's known for playing electric guitar, but he just like completely destroyed on acoustic as well. It was just like the guitar was a part of him, man. Like he was like on automatic pilot, and he was just shredding. Like it was just incredible. I mean, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that and taping that off when it was new.
Another guy lost before his time too, man.
Yeah, I think that was like I think that was like early 1990, like before he lost his life. Not too long, maybe a couple months. So I remember I was going to go see him. I remember I was a senior in high school, 89 to 90, and I remember him and Jeff Beck were touring, and they were playing Madison Square Garden. I remember me and two of my buddies, we were going to get tickets for that and go see it. And for some reason, we just ended up getting the tickets, and then we were like, fuck it, man. We'll just catch him next time, you know, they're around. And
yeah,
what happened, man. That's why I always say, go see.
Just go see him. Yeah.
Now.
Spend the money, figure it out, go see him.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
You know, don't doubt yourself. Just going because you never know. And
you always regret it. Yeah.
I was talking with Tom Petty. I always thought I'd have a chance to see him live, man.
Yeah.
I had chances to go, man. It's like, I'll go see him next time.
No, that was
next time.
And those next times start to run out. But it's odd that those two, one of the best guitar players in rock, would only have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess that was the beginning of it, but man, you would like to see fuller sets by those two, you know?
Yeah.
And Joe Satriani was really good too. He had the Flying in the Blue Dream album out, which is one of my favorite albums by him.
Yeah.
So, and he did he had a really cool ballad on that album called I Believe, and he did a really nice acoustic version of that like blew me away. So I mean, that show was really cool. Even though it was short, I had to include it on my list because I really love Stevie Ray Vaughan's performance on there. Even though he played like, I think it was just 2 or 3 songs. I remember in the beginning he was just jamming out like an instrumental, just jamming. Then he went into Pride and Joy, and you know, I think it was only 2 or 3 songs. That was it, But I bet you there's in the archives there's a fuller set probably because I mean,
why would he do a whole show?
Why would he just be on stage for like 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Right.
Do all that work and then play.
Yeah, I bet you he was up there for like an hour at least or something.
Probably.
So in the archive somewhere, MTV, you better fucking release the show.
No shit. Please,
hey MTV, if you're listening.
Yeah. Right the ship. The ship has been wrong for a long time. Right the ship.
Turn off 16 and Pregnant and put on something good at least.
Yeah. So that's my number 10. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Joe Satriani.
I think that was from 1990. I don't really remember the Satriani, but I do remember Stevie Ray. Yeah. So I'm going to catch up on that one again.
Yeah. I just figured I combined the two because it was really one episode.
It was one episode, yeah.
So
yeah. It's interesting. There's a handful of people that like they did their MTV Unplugged, and not long after that they were gone.
Right.
Think about like Nirvana's one, and like Alice in Chains, and I don't know. Stevie. It was like a few months after they did one, then they were gone. It's just weird. But
that's weird.
My number 10, to not be depressing as hell. My number 10, I went with Florence and the Machine. Not in a band that I usually go seek out to put on, but I ended up seeing her at ACL probably like a decade ago and was just blown away. She was one of the closing acts at Austin City Limits the year we were there, and phenomenal live act. She has a stage presence that's just unbelievable. This Unplugged came out in 2012, so it's one of the more recent ones. That's a decade ago, so it's probably the same year that I saw her at Austin City Limits. But she's just amazing live. And then a friend of mine wanted to see her in Detroit and had no one else that would go. Like her husband wouldn't go. I was like, I'll go, whatever. I got to see her for free again in Detroit probably 2019, assuming before the pandemic. But she's just, I know she's like billed off as chick rock, but she's an amazing live act. Phenomenal stage presence. Her voice is like bigger than life for her body. It's just wild.
It's such a shame that they put that kind of label because she's a phenomenal singer.
She's amazing.
And her band is fantastic.
Yeah, because
it's a good band.
Yeah, the band's tight. Like they all can rock everything that they play. They're awesome on every instrument.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of guys are like, "Oh, I'm not listening to this." Like it's chick music. And
then, because it's got a lead, a female lead.
Yeah,
and when are we ever going to get away from that? That's been around for the longest time.
Yeah, and when she talks, she's like super quiet and like obviously effeminate. She's a woman, but she's very quiet and like meek when she's speaking. And I think people don't realize when she speaks versus singing is like,
she's powerful on stage.
It's like a 180. Yeah. And that was even my fiance was with me when we were at Austin City Limits, and he's like, "Holy crap! Like she's awesome. Her whole band was awesome." So he was really impressed when we ended up seeing him. But I checked out part of her Unplugged. That was like, I went through and listened to a ton of them, like bits and pieces from a bunch of different ones. And I was like, hers really is awesome. It's really, really good. So
I need to check that one out because I do like, the stuff that's on the radio.
She does some covers and different stuff. So it's interesting to hear her doing other music. It was good. Yeah,
and they just released a new album a couple months ago. They're playing it on Alt Nation on XM, and the lead single is fantastic.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Jerry. What are you going to start off with?
All right, my number 10 is a band I actually didn't get into until like 2011, 2012. And man, was I missing a lot because this woman was so talented. And I miss her voice. I miss her to death. Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. Incredible singer. And talk about a great band that she had. Like, it's no recognition at all. Her band was awesome. And that voice, man.
So hot and beautiful.
She's another like a powerhouse. Yeah.
Irreplaceable. And I never knew that existed, actually. I just watched that a couple of days ago when we first invited me to this, and it probably would have been up higher if I would have saw it back in the day. But man, it was a great performance, and her voice, man, it brings you to tears, man. It's such a good voice. I mean, I think about it, it's like, you're not going to hear anything else from her ever again. It's just sad, man. It's a loss, man. All these people, like you said, that are dying.
That was one,
And I never got into them until like 10 years ago. So they were kind of, I was starting to really, dig them, and it's like that was cut short.
Yeah, and then it's gone.
Yeah. Man, their second album was a complete departure from the first with Zombie and what was that other track? Salvation. That was a badass song.
That's a very anti-war theme to that album.
Yeah.
And everything going on, you have to.
But man, her voice, I mean, on Dreams and Linger is just so, man, it's so incredible. I mean, she's such a talent.
Yeah, and the first album, she sounded so beautiful. Yes. On the second album, she sounded pissed off and aggressive.
Right.
Loved it.
I love how she never tried to lose that Irish accent either, man. I love how you hear that in her music. Just, man.
Yeah, it's just the way, because of the way that she passed away, you knew that it was an accident. It wasn't meant to happen that way, and it's a shame.
It was a very that one hurt me a lot when I heard that.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I never had enough time with them.
Yeah, because I was shocked.
Were they even together anymore? I don't know.
There wasn't very much coming out from them at that time, and she had released something solo.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that much time before that.
I could hear that. But, anyway, that's my number 10.
My number 10. This was almost an all female sweep, but I love this. In the 90s, I was in love with her. This album's fantastic. Mariah.
Oh man, her incredible voice, man.
She was so great in this Unplugged. Her voice was fantastic. The band, the Unplugged band, the backing vocals, and I was thinking, man, how much money did they spend on this? Because there had to be almost 19 or 20 people back there with her to make sure everything sounded full.
That album was a monster, though. I think that sold really well, though.
Yeah, Emotions, Someday, and Visions of Love. And the thing is that the way that she sounded, it was just bare bones. Her voice was just bare bones on this performance. And when they did the cover of Michael Jackson of the Jackson 5, I'll Be There, that was released as a single, and it was everywhere one summer, and it sounded great. So my number 10 is Mariah Carey.
Good one.
Unplugged, and it's just an EP, so it wasn't that long of a performance. Yeah. But yeah.
Really? I thought it was pretty long. No? Wasn't that long?
No.
Oh. Okay.
The songs were long, but there weren't that many tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my number 9, I'm going with Stone Temple Pilots. Yeah, I remember seeing this one, and I was really into STP, man. They had Scott Weiland in the rocking chair, which is really cool, and they came out swinging with like Cracker Man, and they did most of like the first album, and then it was cool. They did like Big Empty, which was the single from the Crow soundtrack, and I don't think the second album was even out yet when they did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of energy. It was STP in their early days, man.
The stripped down version of Plus was incredible, man.
Yeah, that was. I remember that always getting played on the radio a lot, and Wicked Garden was cool, Creep, I mean, they were killing it, man. So I got to go STP number 9.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I always have the vision of Scott Weiland in a rocking chair,
With that beard with no stash, and
yeah.
His hair all backed out, and
he was a force back in the day, man. Yeah. He was probably one of the best frontmen in the '90s, man. Out of that whole era.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of great ones. I mean, Lane was great. I mean, Chris Cornell. I mean, you can't. That whole scene. It just sucks to think that like most of them are gone, man.
I know.
I mean, Eddie Vedder's like the last standing one, man. Really, out of all of them.
And then it makes you think that the pain that they sung about was not just for performing. It was the pain was real.
It was real, man.
In these people. And that's what you're like, wow, and you can hear it in the performance. You can hear it in the writing. It was just insane. And the thing is that I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, go on.
No, that's my number 9. That's all I gotta say on it, man.
Right.
So STP, MTV Unplugged, number 9.
Yeah.
What you got, Kate?
I went with, this was hard on the back end. The top end of my list, I was like, I know it by heart already. But the back end was a little harder to figure out. But this one I went with Clapton. I know you guys dig that. I know Andy's talked about it before. And that, there's a lot on here. I was like, it's like 20 songs that are on here. But this one, heavy duty, it's Clapton. I mean, what do I need to say?
Yeah.
Clapton Unplugged, I like so much more than a lot of like plugged in stuff, I guess is the way to say it. But you know what I mean. He just is awesome on that.
He's on my list a little further down.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, what you got? Number 9.
My number 9 is Queensrÿche. I just love that one. And then they did like the Lady Wore Black, Silent Lucidity, freaking. Got my mind's going blank now. I mean, they did a lot of cool classic Queensrÿche. And Jeff Tate, amazing vocalist. I mean, he could sing the dictionary and it'd sound good.
Yeah, that's a great one, man.
I remember it, but I had to like revisit it, kind of skim through it to remember it. But
Jeff's voice was incredible on that, man.
Yeah, and it also had Jet City Woman, didn't it? I think.
Oscar, that was a hit for. No, I don't think so. That was out. Was that? No, they did.
I don't know if they did
Jet
that
City
one.
Woman. Yes, I do remember that now.
Did they do it?
I think they did. It was either that or Another Lonely Night or Another Rainy Night Without You. I'm getting them confused. Oh, like I said, I skimmed through it and I remember it and I loved it when I saw it. So I'll actually probably try to rewatch the whole thing. But anyway,
what's up right now on YouTube is that Queensryche. When I went to it, it was all in pieces, and I couldn't tell which was unplugged.
See, yeah, that's what I mean. I was kind of I have to admit, there was actually a little electric guitar in it as well. So I was kind of hesitant about putting that one on there, but
yeah.
Well, I figured it was mostly acoustic, so
yeah.
Anyway, that's my number 9.
My number 9 is going to be number 9 was going to be I'm sorry about that. It's going to be Don Henley when he did his, and when I was hearing it, it was they were pushing the end of the Innocence, and I love that album.
Love that album.
That album is fantastic, and he also played a couple of Eagle songs. He did "Best of My Love," which is awesome, and he also did "Desperado." He closed it with "Desperado."
Nice.
But I just, at that time, he was doing a lot of environmental work, and there was a lot of MTV videos about the Emerson and Thoreau books he was reading and stuff like that. So I was really digging that at the time. And when my uncle made me a copy of The End of the Innocence, I was blown away by the writing. The music was good, but the writing was just fantastic. And it was cool to see that on this Unplugged.
The freaking hits on that album, The Last Worthless Season, and Heart of the Matter, End of the Innocence.
Yeah.
I Will Not Go Quietly. I mean,
yeah.
New York Minute.
New York Minute.
How Bad Do You Want It? I mean, it was just loaded with catchy tunes and hits, man.
Yeah, it really was. And it's by far my favorite Don Henley album. So that's my number 9 is his set is by Don Henley.
Yeah, good one.
So my number 8 is going to be like Jerry's 9. It's going to be Queensryche. Yeah, I remember taping this back in the day when it was new too. And they opened up with a really beautiful version of I Will Remember. And Jeff's voice was just so hauntingly, it was just so great on that, man. I mean, it was like incredible. They did The Killing Words, Della Brown. It was when Empire was new. Well, Empire had already been out, I think, like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think this came out in like 92. And they did The Lady Wore Black.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They did not do Jet City Woman.
Oh, they did? Okay.
I couldn't remember if they did or not.
They did Anybody Listening. I think they even did Rockin' in the Free World, the cover on there.
They did.
So, but yeah, man, I mean, they were like, probably at the peak of their, popularity. I mean, in 92, it was already the grunge era had started, but they were still holding on. They were in there. They were still holding strong. So, and they were from Seattle too, so maybe that helped them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, man, Queensryche, man, I remember loving that Unplugged, and you don't ever hear about that one really when people name check, Unplugged.
That's a forgotten one, yeah.
I think that's a worthy one, so that's my number 8. What you got, Kate?
Yeah. So I know Andy will have it higher up on his list, but I did Neil Young. And
okay, great. That's a great
just one. Another one that I don't know, I feel like Clapton and him and like a lot of Dylan stuff, that kind of thing, that they're just so much better live and unplugged like that. So I'll let Andy take the lead on talking about that, but I assume it's in his top maybe first.
Oh, that's definitely going to be in his top 10.
But at least in the top 3, I assume. So, but that's, yeah, I don't know. Neil Young's awesome.
He just lends himself well to acoustic, man.
Yeah, and more recently, it's like his backing band is like Willie Nelson's son and his band. Like Lucas Nelson has Lucas Nelson, The Promise of the Real, but they call him Uncle Neil, and it's just he just is so awesome when he's live and unplugged like that. It's just That's what suits him. Yeah. Yeah. So Jerry, you're number 8.
My number 8 is I'm gonna stick with the females again. Another voice I love, and it seems to be forgotten nowadays. I love Natalie Merchant's voice. I love the 10,000 Maniacs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
These Are Days, incredible version. Because of the Night, man, just underrated band, underrated singer, underrated show. I wanted to put that higher, but these other shows I got in front of me were.
It's hard. This back end on these were hard to pick because I listened to that, and that one is really really good. Yeah.
And I love her solo albums. I'm a huge fan of her voice. Anybody heard what she's doing nowadays, or if she's retired, or
I really don't know. I know that when they were about to pick off, they broke up, and she went solo. And that's when she released Tiger Lily. But
great album. Great album there.
I didn't hear anything after that. Man, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
But that's my number 8. I mean, that was another great Unplugged show. I mean, I think Peter Buck showed up in that from REM and Michael Stipe and a lot of guest stars. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And that's my number 8.
My number 8 is going to be the Paul McCartney Unplugged sessions. It was so fantastic to hear him go from different, not just Beatles and Paul solo, but he went to different eras. He did Blue Moon of Kentucky, which was a huge,
bluegrass,
huge bluegrass surprise. And also, he started to set up the set with Bebop Balua, which was a song that the Beatles used to always do, and John Lennon had actually done that on his covers album. I think it's called Rock and Roll. I think was the name of the album. That's how he started off with. So I don't know if that was a little nod to John that he started off with that same track, but he also did Here, There, Everywhere, and not a surprise, but I love the song I've Just Seen a Face, which is off of Help. And he did it on there on Unplugged as well. So that's what my number 8 is Paul McCartney. And he's so talented. The guy can play anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And just be at ease of what he's doing when the fans and the audience like us are in awe. It's just second nature to him. Yeah. So that's why I have my number 8. It's going to be Paul. Number 7, Al.
My number 7, I'm going with Aerosmith. They did a great one, man. It doesn't get name checked when you hear about Unplugs, man, but they just jammed on. Like, for me, Aerosmith, like around this time of, Permanent Vacation, Pump. I like those albums. But to me, I'm such a big 70s Aerosmith fan. There's some good gems on those albums, but they were getting a little on the poppy side. But this one, they just completely just stripped everything away. And just, they came out and they just jammed, man. And they opened up with, Hangman Jerry, which is a great song off of Permanent Vacation. Mm-hmm. And then they did Seasons of Wither, which is one of my favorite songs by them, from Get Your Wings album, their second album.
What'd I miss?
I mean, hell, man. They were doing Milk Cow Blues. They were doing
Aerosmith?
Aerosmith. Toys in the Attic.
Dude, that was a great song. I completely forgot about that one, too.
Toys in the Attic, Walking the Dog, Train Kept the
Seasons of Wither.
Seasons of Wither. They even did The Doors' Love Me 2 Times, which was great.
Really?
Yeah. They kicked all sorts of ass. It was just like one long jam session.
Yeah, that's what I completely forgot about. That definitely would have made my list.
Yeah, the Aerosmith one's great, man. So that's got to be my number 7. They were killing it on that, man. And they should release that officially. I don't know if they ever did or not.
I don't think so.
There's so many that aren't albums. That's what I'm saying. There's over 100 they've done, and 50 albums, and a bunch of them are comps.
Yeah. I love that one though, man. I pulled that one up, studying for this, and I forgot how freaking great it was. And again, there was another one I taped live off TV. I remember I have it on a VHS somewhere.
And I was trying to pull it up somewhere, but I just ran out of time, and that's why I didn't put it on there, because I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, they did a lot of
I
good.
love Aerosmith.
They did a lot of the '70s material on there, which was fine by me.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
because I want to do the ranking. I was going to wait till around July 4th, since they're one of the best American bands out there. I wanted to do it around that time.
Yeah,
But there's an Aerosmith show in the works. Has to be. I love that band.
I mean, they even did Last Child on there, which was great.
Oh man. Well,
Anything from Rocks, Toys in the Attic, you know, any of the '70s stuff, man. I love it all. So Aerosmith, number 7, man.
number 7. That's fantastic. Kate, number 7.
So my number 7, I went with Oasis.
I was watching that one too.
Yeah,
Great job.
they're they have their issues to say the least. But what a phenomenal band when they could like get along and get shit done. They were just I don't know, all the instrumentals, vocals, I mean they just and being certain songs that are like super super iconic and last through generations, because it's technically not my generation of music at all, but that's you're sitting around a bonfire and what do? Wonderwall, that's a classic, so I mean, and just this one's a good one.
You just tell Noah was just really uncomfortable doing
yeah. I think any live stuff that they ever did is just not into it.
It was such a last minute decision to go on without Liam because the fucking Liam didn't even know if he was going to show up or not. And then he's up in the balcony
smoking a cigarette.
Was that the one that he was up there in the balcony?
Yeah, he was heckling Noel. Noel's like, "Shut up,
man! What is it? Good God, I swear."
That would have made my top. That would have made like my list. But the thing that took, just to interject a little bit here, the thing that took away from me on that one was them having an orchestra and the horns and stuff. I think that detracted a little bit from the acoustic, the unplugged thing.
Yeah,
by the time those unplugs were happening, there was all these bands were like adding all these extra musicians and stuff on there, and not to say that it wasn't great. It was. I love Oasis,
right.
But
you're a purist. You want it to be the band.
Yeah, it's not so much like. Yeah, I mean, I think the added orchestra and the horns, it detracted it a little bit for me.
Yeah, so. I think if I could have seen them, that I'd want to see them as just them and not the orchestrated thing. But I've seen some stuff, like we saw the Who, and obviously it's just 2 people now, but that was like 2018 maybe, and they did the orchestra.
Yeah, I saw that
deal come through. Yeah,
I think they're doing that again still on this one now.
And that was really cool, but I would have, if I could have seen the Who OG with everyone, that would have been amazing.
Of course.
But yeah. But I get it. Yeah, if you want it to be just the band and not a ton of extra stuff, like if it's an unplugged, like technically an orchestra is unplugged, but if it's just the band unplugged and stripped down like that, I can see what you mean.
But the Oasis one's still a good one. No. Noel had some brass balls going up there and doing it all by himself, really,
the show must go on,
Yeah. Like you're already there and need to do it. That's
It's basically the asses were in the seats, weren't they?
So, I think that happened for more than one show there.
The cameras were rolling. You're like, man.
Never start a band with your brother. Let's see, the Kinks, Black Crowes. Well, they're getting along better now, but it seems like bands with brothers just do not get along and they hate.
Yeah, I think you go through phases of like in your 20s or whatever where it's like hard to be with siblings, and then you get to late 20s, mid 30s like I am, and it's like, oh, we get along really well now. But I think a lot of those guys are, they're getting into their 50s and that, and it's like you don't know how much longer you're going to have your brother or your whoever, your sibling might not be around that much longer. You need to work shit out.
Yeah.
It's actually starting with Heart right now. They're not getting along. This is unreal.
I'm glad the Black Crowes are getting along though, because I saw them last summer and they were great.
They're awesome.
Yeah. I saw them last summer, and man, they blew me away. They were so good.
Cool. Mr. Jerry, you're number 7.
Oh man, Tesla. Man, that was a great show.
Speaking of Black Crowes, there was the twofer of them. It was them and the Black Rose.
Yeah.
On the episode. Yeah, that was a great one too, man. That just didn't make the cut on my list, but go ahead, Jerry.
Jeff Keith, one of the best 80s rock vocalists in my opinion. I hated that he got lumped in with all those 80 makeup hair bands because they really weren't a hair band, man.
They were not.
No. They were straight up rock and roll. I mean, on their version of Paradise, man, it's just, man, his voice in that song was incredible. Band sounded great. I can't remember. Did they have any extras on there? I can't remember. I think it was just them.
No, it was just them.
Yeah. And shows that blew me away. I went out and bought the 5-man acoustical jam as soon as it came out. Fucking album kicks ass. The second one too. It's really good. But yeah, that's my number. What is that? 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 7. All right.
Sorry, I'm quick.
Oh no, it's all right. Rod Stewart, Unplugged and Seated. And Unseated. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, I listened to part of that and I was like, oh man, forget how much. Yeah.
Really good, man.
Ronnie Wood was in that, right?
Yeah, Ronnie Wood was here with him. And the songs that he played were, we're so not used to, but like in the 80s or the late 70s, Rod Stewart really turned to pop and disco and stuff like that. But on this album, he stuck to his 70s, his early 70s stuff. The only thing that I have to complain about is that I really wish The Killing of Georgie parts 1 and 2 were on here. Unfortunately, they're not, but such a great song, very emotional song. But I kept on talking about celebratory and celebrating music. That's what this sounded like. This sounded like there was a party going on here. The songs were Hot Legs, Tonight's the Night, Handbags and Glad Rags, which is such a fantastic ballad by him. I think it's on Gasoline Alley, if I'm not mistaken. Cut Across Shorty, Every Picture Tells a Story, Maggie May, Reason to Believe, which was a cover that was originally done by Crazy Horse. When Crazy Horse did their first album, it was Crazy Horse original.
Without Neil Young, right?
Huh?
Without Neil Young?
Yeah. It was just them by themselves.
Yeah.
Have I Told You Lately, which is a Van Morrison song, which when they released it, which they released as a single, and it was a big hit for him. It was all over the place. The First Cut is the Deepest, Mandolin Wind. He even has a Faces song on here, Stay With Me. So, man, it was just an electrifying performance, and the songs and set lists were just fantastic. So that's my pick for this one.
That's a good one. That's another one I forgot about. That's a good one.
Yeah, Rod Stewart's, it's either he's fantastic or he goes a little bit too cheesy.
The American Songbook, like
they went too that way for a while.
Yeah.
I would love to see the old Rod.
Yeah, I didn't even give that a listen. I just didn't dig him.
I thought I heard something like that. He was doing some. Was it going to be a Faces reunion album or something? I thought I heard something like that, which would be cool.
Yeah. Well, I know he's touring, and Cheap Trick is opening up.
Yeah.
So I wonder what Rod is going to play. I mean, he can't come out. He can't go on after Cheap Trick playing all those songs.
Yeah, he better come out. He better
bring your A game after that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to come up with the 70s dirty stuff. He has to.
Yeah, he's got it. I mean, he's got the material to do it. So,
yeah. So that's my pick is Rod Stewart, and I think that during these podcasts we don't talk about Rod Stewart enough, and I think he deserves to be mentioned a little bit more. He's all right.
All right. So my number 6, I got to go with Pearl Jam. So it's a pretty iconic MTV too. They were fresh on the scene with 10. So much energy. Eddie Vedder, young Eddie Vedder, just kicking ass on there. That's when I really loved Pearl Jam. Those first couple albums. They come out with open up with Oceans, which is a great song, and then they did State of Love and Trust, which ended up on a single soundtrack.
Yeah.
That whole year '92 was a great year of music, man. You know,
Yeah, we did that whole podcast on it.
We did the whole podcast. Yeah, it was a lot of great albums.
Oh, so many.
I mean, Alive was great on there. I mean, Black, Jeremy, Even Flow. You know, they did most of the classics from the first album. Then they ended with Porch, which is another great song too. You know, but yeah, man, I remember Eddie Vedder like on the stool, and he was writing something on his arm, and you know, just going nuts, man. And
he was writing like a different political slogans.
I remember that was like a big thing. You know, I can't remember what he wrote. I don't know if I can't remember what he wrote down, but it was something political, some sort of
pro-life stuff on his arm as well. He was writing.
So, but yeah, I got to go Pearl Jam number 6. I mean, a lot of those '90s bands, man, they fit well with Unplugged. They were great on there, man. So
because they were very talented. They were very talented.
I think people forget how much stuff all those guys could do, and the Unplugged really showed that. Like how you said, they're all super talented. Like insane.
You're basically naked on stage, man.
You're exposed, and
you can't hide behind effects and stuff like that. So you know,
no pedals, exactly. Yeah.
So that's my number 6.
It's a good one.
Pearl Jam.
I listened to that twice this week.
Good, it's a great one. And I think they included that in their 10 the reissue of 10 like years ago, right?
Yeah, I think there's some of that. Is that some of that on like PJ20 or
something like that? Yeah,
I'm not sure, but like I said when we were starting up, I was like, that was recorded in '92, and they didn't release it until 2020 for that actual album release.
Yeah, like officially.
Yeah. So Andy talked about it already once, but I'm going to do the McCartney Unplugged, the official bootleg. But he does that. Andy talked about that Bebopalula, and you think about how many people have done that song, because it's a Gene Vincent song, and then Elvis does it, Jerry Lee Lewis does it,
it was just a rock and roll standard.
Yeah, and that's a jam. And then, like you said, him going off, kind of pulling a 180 and doing Blue Moon of Kentucky, and it's Bill Monroe, and I'm a big bluegrass nut. You can go to his home. I've never done that, which I'd like to do that now that things are getting back to normalish. But you can go when you're down in Kentucky. It's just little ways outside Louisville. You can go see his home.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah, it looks cool. I need to do
Blackbird on that
Unplugged
version.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah. I was looking at the list because there's
Maybe I'm Amazed, or he didn't do that one, right?
There's I Lost My Little Girl, Here, There, and Everywhere. That's when he does Blue Moon, Kentucky. We Can Work It Out, San Francisco Bay Blues. I've just seen a face, which Andy said, like, we both dig that song. We've talked about it before. Every Night, She's a Woman, High Heel Sneakers, and I Love Her. That's one that I dig a lot, and I love her. That would be something. Blackbird, Ain't No Sunshine, which Andy mentioned, Good Rockin' Tonight, Singing the Blues, and Junk. So that's the set list on that one. But it's Paul McCartney. Like, have you guys all seen him live? I got to see him.
And I have tickets to see him
like a decade ago.
I have tickets to see him next month.
Dude sounds amazing. He was on Howard Stern about
man.
It's just amazing, his voice.
Yeah, he's still so good. And
it sounds like his speaking voice is a little slurred, but his singing voice is still top notch.
When I remember not long after I saw him, he got really sick, like deathly ill with pneumonia. And after that, his voice was really soft. And even his singing voice was, you could tell it was depleted. It was hard for him to really belt it. And then in the last, still on tour through a national tour. Yeah. It's just wild. But he's a day.
His birthday's a day or two after. His birthday's June 16th. I think
it's coming up. I'm not sure the date, but
I know it's the day after my dad's. It's the day after my dad, or 2 days after my father's birthday, and my father's gonna be 80 as well. And
that's cool. You're lucky you got him.
And I can never picture my father like up on stage.
Being McCartney. I know. I always laugh because I'm like, my dad and Halford are like 2 months apart. And I'm like, I can never imagine my dad be like A, wear leather, B, ride a motorcycle, C, scream his ass off. And like my dad was a big rocker dude. Like he grew up in Detroit. He's seen everyone. Like literally the only bands he didn't see when he was growing up in this, you know, late 60s, 70s, he didn't see Hendrix and he didn't see the Beatles. Otherwise, he's seen anybody you can name, he saw him. But it's just funny to think about. Yeah, if your dad could be Paul McCartney.
No shit. Yeah.
I'm taking my daughter to go see him too. So
good. She needs to see him.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad you'll take her because she needs to see him.
She needs to see a Beatle before they're all gone.
I know.
And there's one more thing. A couple of days before the McCartney concert, Ringo's playing in New Jersey.
They're getting together.
Is going to show
in.
up.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Because the show in New Jersey, I think, is Paul McCartney's last show. The tour.
A couple days. What's the
date? They got together on the last tour, didn't they? The last show they did, I think Ringo came on stage for a few songs, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I would fangirl cry.
Oh, true.
I mean, how many times have the two Beatles been on stage together?
Well, and there's like, oh my God, there's some really cool concerts where they're doing, I don't know what they were doing, if it was like a memorial or something for someone, and then they just pop in together, and they're all on YouTube. Right. I was watching a bunch of them like last month, and it's so sweet to watch them interact together because it's like the same when you saw them when they were young and they weren't as serious. Like you're seeing all the Get Back stuff if you watch that doc, and they're like they're not super serious, but they're a lot more serious than they were when they were young. Yeah. And you see them as these like older dudes, and they see each other on stage, and they're just like little kids again. I mean, it's so sweet. That'd be amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah! I hope that happens for you. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
See if there was any issues or problems. It's just they're at the age where fuck it, man. You gotta let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, and I wish
the body of work that we did. And
I think they realized that with John and with George that, like Paul probably really realized it after. It was like shit, like you know, it's too late after that.
And what sucks with Beatles is let's be honest with what really came in between them. It was business.
Yeah,
it was business. And I think that's what happened.
And it starts getting hard.
Each other. They just outgrew.
They're so young, and people forget how young they are. That they're all like 27 when they're doing the Get Back sessions, and they're like 27, 28. And I think people forget how young they are, and then they're starting to partner up and want to have families and things. Like your life changes so much when you settle down. So,
and you figure that band was how huge they were. It seems like they've been around for 20, 25 years, and they're only around for what?
No, they're in their early 20s.
5, 6, or 7 years.
Touring the world in their early 20s.
Yeah, they recorded for 7 years, from 60 to 70. That's crazy.
With their body of work, it seems like they've been together 40, 50 years, man, with that body of work they got.
It's just wild. Yeah.
They progressed at the speed of light, man.
I know, definitely.
Yeah.
I know, it's just wild to think about.
And the movies they made like 4 movies.
I know. They're so hokey, but I love them.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's like my bathroom. My bathroom at my house, my main bathroom is Yellow Submarine. Like I love all that artwork. I don't know. It's just so fun.
But I was lucky to see him twice. The second time was with my wife. And he played Minute Maid Park. It was outside, and they had opened up the roof and everything. It was so cool.
That's so cool.
And it's so cool that when you see Paul McCartney, there's a electricity in the air. You feel that Beatlemania still alive. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
you still feel it.
Yeah, my brain is funny in the way that I'll think about something like that. That I'm like, could you imagine? Like when I saw him, it was at Comerica Park, so like the big baseball stadium here. And thinking about that and being like, oh my God, when Beatlemania was big and you like girls would scream so much you couldn't even hear them playing. It's like that was in my brain when I was seeing him live. I'm like, and thinking of like, I never thought I'd ever see him live. Like I was a broke ass college student, like really, really, really broke. And a friend of mine just ended up finding the tickets on Craigslist. That's how long ago it was. Craigslist. And it was like $140 seats that some guy is hawking that day for $70. My friend called me. He's like, if you don't hear from me in 20 minutes, assume I'm robbed and dead. But if you hear back from me, we're going to see Paul McCartney. And like, holy hell. What a cool day. It was just so, I don't even know. I don't have words. My brain just like short circuits when I'm thinking about how lucky I was to be able to go see that. But yeah. Jerry, let's go with you, man. Number 6.
All right. I never got into this band, but the show was freaking incredible. Was Nirvana.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the band, but that show was awesome. I mean, the
Yeah.
crowd's yelling, "Do rate me!" And I'm like, Kurt's like, I don't think MTV will let us play that one. You know, it was just so freaking raw and unedited, man. I loved it. And
yeah, even if you're, I agree with you, man. Even if you're not a fan of that band, I mean, for me, and it's on my list too, man. I'll be getting to it, but for me, like, I mean, it's just like such an iconic.
All Apologies. That's one of the songs I like by them. They did an incredible job of that.
That's I just talked about that before, and it's on my list too. But I've talked about it before, and it's just seeing him in that state of like wherever his mind was in that, he is just so exposed and like that. It feels cliche to say that like raw, but it just is. Like you guys know what I'm talking about, where he's like just the end of that when he's in that last scream at the end, and it's like guttural and it just hits me. It's like someone punched me in the gut when I listen to that. I
don't know why they never made Pat Smear an actual official member.
Yeah, well, and that's like him. He kind of gets the shaft, I feel like, with that and Foo Fighters. Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say. That's like he seems to be like on the fringe, but he's with them and tours with them a lot, but he's not like he's not one of their guys. I don't know. And maybe that's his thing. Maybe
do you know that he was on?
Maybe that's his thing. If he didn't want a contract, or I don't know. There's probably
maybe he doesn't want the fame or anything. Maybe
I think he's kind of an odd cat.
He was in Prince's Raspberry Beret video. Did you know that?
When he's like a little baby?
Yeah, playing the guitar. If you look at the video, he's in there.
No way.
Yeah. Wow. Somebody pointed that out. It really is him. He was in that video.
Wow, that's weird. I'll have to revisit.
He must be old then.
I mean, all those guys are in their 50s too. So
no, he's like 10 years older than everybody else, I think.
Okay.
That's probably why,
Yeah. Because he was in he was in the Germs, man. They were a late 70s punk band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
Yeah. And that's already like, 78.
He's probably in his 60s now then. Like
I think Joan Jett produced one of their albums, and Pat Smear, man.
That's weird. He's like one of those vampire people that like he didn't age forever. He looked the same until his hair started going gray. He was ageless. He's like Weird Al, I feel like, is like that too. He's like a vampire. He looks great and he never is aging ever. I don't know, there's a handful of musicians that are like that. Like they look exactly the same as they did in the 90s. And it's like, oh, this is 30 years later and he still looks the same.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I was never a huge fan of him, but I love that show, man. It was just, it sticks in my head.
I've talked about it numerous times on here, and it's just one that, it's amazing.
And the fact that he did the, I'll talk about it a little bit too. And the fact that he did the stage like a funeral, like.
Yeah, that's what I meant with like all the candles and everything. They're like.
It's like almost like he was like,
They had all the white lilies and that. Like I can see it in my head. I didn't actually rewatch it. I listened to it, but I can still see the whole thing in my head even without just rewatching it.
My favorite Nirvana moment was, I forget what award show it was, but I remember Chris Novoselic threw his bass up in the air.
Smoked himself.
MTV
Oh my God. He's so lucky he didn't actually legit kill himself or break his neck, because how heavy a bass is to smoke you in the head.
Hurt.
Woo! I've gotten just like hit with a headstock and been like.
That was the Video Music Awards.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember what show it was, but man,
the video. It was the MTV Video Music Awards.
Yeah.
And I remember they were going into Rate Me like real quick. He did a couple of courses of it, and there's a whole documentary on. Like the. MTV Video Music Awards that I saw one time. They were talking about all all the different ones, and and like mishaps and all that shit. And I remember they were talking about Nirvana wanted to Rate Me, which wasn't even out yet.
Right. And
MTV was like, no, absolutely not. You got to play like one of your hits. And I remember like they were, and you know how Kurt was. He was
good luck telling them what to do.
Yeah. Kurt was like, I'm gonna fuck with these guys, So he started doing the first chords of Rate Me, and in the documentary, like they said that they were all in the back like room like freaking out. And
I bet.
And then he was like, "Gotcha."
All the suits are just shitting themselves, and to have that live and like on TV, and parents or anyone's freaking out that they're.
That's
like,
the same one where Chris threw up the bass and hit himself in the head.
Yeah, holy smokes! I watched that and I could like just cringe the same cringe every single time.
I think Kurt said he was like pissed at like Chris Novoselic, like he when they went backstage, like he kicked him in the ass or something like that. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Oh my gosh, he's so lucky that he didn't really hurt himself. Like I'm sure he probably had a concussion. I would guarantee he had a concussion, but you could just like break your neck from not much weight hitting your head.
Thank God he's a tall dude. If he was a little smaller, could
I think he would have gotten smoked a lot worse if he was a little short guy.
I think I said this before on this show, but it's like I remember what Kurt said about how he knew he made it big is when Weird Al Yankovic did a spoof of his song.
I love that. Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, you're a hit, like a big star if Weird Al's asking to cover one of your songs.
Right. My daughter's like starting to get into like Weird Al.
Oh my God, take her to go see him because he's touring right now.
I've never seen him either. I'd love to see him.
I've said it before, and he is one of the best shows I've ever seen live. Like ridiculous costume changes, his stage presence and energy, and he's a maniac. And doing all the stuff, and like their band kicks ass. Like go see him, and he's having Emo Phillips open for him on this tour. So Emo goes up and does like a half hour of stand up. And if you don't know Emo Phillips, check him out.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know this.
I don't know if you guys like stand up. I love stand up. Like we're big stand up nerds. My fiance and I
go to a lot of shows too.
Yeah, and you're like right in the Mecca.
I am.
Like we were in New York. We weren't even there for 48 hours because we stopped there to fly to Europe, and we saw 3 stand up shows in less than 48 hours.
I gotta say that I gotta say that living in New Jersey where I'm at, I am spoiled with a lot of all the shows that I get.
You probably got to see Carlin.
Yeah.
I got to see Carlin. I saw George Carlin, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Genius.
He's probably my favorite, man.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he was alive right now?
Oh, he'd be having
the last 5 years, he would have lost his mind.
He would have been shitting on everybody, man.
Oh my God, it would be spectacular. He would destroy right now. In like the last 5 years, he would have just destroyed everything.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to see him. I got to see his stand up. So.
Super lucky.
I watch his videos and DVDs, at least.
I still put that stuff on even now. I'll still revisit stuff. Or him on all the talk shows. Yeah.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I think I'm on XM. Maybe I'll have the app. They still have the George Carlin channel.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is all George Carlin.
Nice. All the stuff.
Yeah, that's I used to have a lot of his albums, but then I start to get rid of my spoken word.
I have a handful of stuff. I end up coming across, like buying stuff. You end up coming across random things. So I have a handful of his stuff on vinyl.
Yeah.
But I am happy to say I got to see Sam Kinison live. That was a good one.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
The funniest thing is that he was like a preacher and then turns into Sam Kinison. Right. That's what he did before. And then he's like, to hell with this, and starts being a maniac.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield helping out. Another great comic.
I love Rodney. That's someone that I actually keep stuff when I have a handful of his stuff on vinyl that I actually hang on to for my collection.
I like Bill Hicks a lot too.
Yeah, that's another one, man. All these guys, I like.
All these guys would just flip of what's going on. And
that's what I was saying before you got back. That I was like, could you imagine if George Carlin was alive in the last 3 years? He would destroy everyone.
Shit,
my mom used to have a Joan Rivers on vinyl.
Yeah,
I used to play it when I was a kid. Just just so I can get a kick out of the bad words. You know what I mean? When you're a kid and you play this and you hear bad words. But as I got older, and it was
even that dirty compared to some of the other guys.
Yeah. So where are we?
Yeah, you're on number 6. You're number 6.
STP, Stone Temple Pilots. That album. Well, Al talked about most of it, but there's one thing that he omitted that I'll add. Two things. First of all, this is what I had forgotten that I wanted to talk about. I think we were having a discussion about it on the Black Spitter members page about how great Stone Temple Pilots were. You know, they're just not mentioned enough. I know that they're mentioned now more than they were before, but they were just like the media pinned them as being copycats, and that's farther from the truth. They were so much of their own band. But the only one that Al didn't mention was Sex Type Thing. Great. I like the little rendition that they did, a little jazzy number that they turned that into. And even his voice, he changed it up for that track, and it's a cool track, man.
Yeah.
It really is. And but Stone Temple Pilots,
another underrated vocalist, man.
Oh yeah. I think because the timing where you have like all those powerhouse dudes and like grunge, and there's just so many heavy hitters. I think he got kind of glazed over, you know.
Yeah, but that's one thing about the media and all that. Why can't we just enjoy everyone? Why can't we?
I know.
Why is it just these guys and these guys no?
I know.
These guys, yes.
And thinking about it, and they'd pit them against each other, where it was like, "Oh, you are a big Nirvana fan. You can't be a Pearl Jam fan. You can't like Stone Temple Pilots." Like that was the vibe then. Because I was listening to I listened to this the 500 podcast, and it's like this comedian Josh Adam Myers is doing. I think it's like the 2012 top 500 albums from Rolling Stones, but he does interviews and talks about an album, and that was Vitology was the one that I just listened to. It's like them talking. He's like, "Oh, if you were a Nirvana fan, you were shit on for being a Pearl Jam fan." Like that's how the vibe was. It's like, why? Like just enjoy all those guys. Like they're all awesome.
It was a rivalry back then, though.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's like, why was there? It's just weird that I don't know.
Yeah, me and Mark used to get into fights about, this band's a grunge, this band's not grunge.
We talked about that the last show we did with you guys, that it's like, why was that? Yeah, you know, I mean,
who cares?
They all got looped into the same thing,
into a label, and that's horrible when it comes to music.
Yeah,
it is.
You know, it's
like hair bands. I hate that freaking term. There were some talented bands there,
very talented.
Because there's definitely a negative connotation on hairband for sure. Yeah.
And again, it's all media crap, and it's unfair. I wish that the media would stay out of sports and music. Other than that, they can have their little world. Just stay out of sports and music. Like when they had that TMZ Sports. So what the hell is this?
Yeah, what is that? Why?
Why is there TMZ Sports? This is horrible. But
TMZ amazes me. They always get, it seems, every story first.
Yeah.
I don't know how or why.
Yeah, like anytime anyone dies, and that's the first report you see of anyone dying, TMZ nailed it.
Yeah, you always believe it.
Probably not true, but it usually is. I mean,
and now it's like, well, did TMZ report it? If not, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah.
What's your number 5, buddy?
I'm going Neil Young, man. So I hadn't seen this one in a long time, and I pulled it up, and I forgot how incredible this one was. And like I said before, I mean, Neil, he does it all, man. He can do the heavy, the acoustic, the folk, everything, man. I mean, Mr. Soul was great. Pocahontas, Needle and the Damage Done, Harvest Moon. So Long May You Run. But for me, the centerpiece on there was Like a Hurricane that he did on the pump organ.
Yeah.
It was just him at the pump organ with the harmonica. And Like a Hurricane is one of my favorite songs by him. I remember, my older brother had the Live Rust album, and I would just constantly play that album. And Like a Hurricane was probably my favorite song on there, and it just took on like a whole different life on this Unplugged one. Actually, like, it really moved me. Like, it almost brought me to tears, man. Yeah. Like how good it was, and I forgot like how great this one was. And it's number 5 on my list. But I mean, looking on my list now, it should be probably higher. But I'm not going to change it. But Neil Young, number 5, man. I mean, he was just made for Unplugged, man. So love Neil. Love.
All right, I'm gonna have to be the. You guys will probably never invite me back to what I'm about to say, but I just never got Neil Young. I tried.
That's fine. That's fine, man.
No, I tried to like the man, but I just cannot get into his music.
He's one that's another one that I like. Don't seek out to put on, but when I listened to this, I was like, all right, like he is so talented, and that's.
I'm not denying he's not talented or anything. I just can't get in. Music.
Yeah, well, and that's like me with Kiss. How I was like, that's probably a super unpopular opinion with you guys, but it's just one that I've tried to listen to so many different albums, and it's just not something that's good in your brain for whatever reason.
I thought Crosby, Stills, and Nash was better without him. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying. You guys love me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
No, this is. The whole thing about this is an opinion.
You guys talk about it a lot, and that's why I'm always quiet when you talk about Neil.
You're fine.
No. Don't. Hey, listen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not into everything that he does either. There's some things that he does that like
he gets weird.
I scratch my head.
Yeah, there's a couple albums. Like I have that one.
Isn't he like CEO of Lionel Train Company?
He loves.
He's a train nut.
He's like vice president.
Kind of cool.
He's like Zappa, where like there's certain periods of him where like
he gets too weird. You almost get too weird, but
I just wanted to bring that up. So if you always want to know why I'm quiet when Neil Young's product.
No, dude, it's cool, man.
And I listen to him a lot. I try to, and I just I can't get into it.
Yeah, there's.
I think it's his voice, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, there's certain bands and there's certain artists that are huge with other people that I'm like, I try and I respect what they did.
Yeah,
but I just don't hear them.
Yeah, I respect everything. I'm just not a fan of them. That's
I'm the same way with a handful of artists.
He deserves all the accolades he deserves. Like I'm just
So
like you said, you can't please everybody.
Neil Young is on my number 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So my number 5, I did the Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, No Quarter, Unleaded.
Nice.
I have a feeling Jerry's got it higher on his list. But damn, so damn good.
What a show that was.
Oh my God. That's another band that's like, holy hell, if you could have seen them live with everybody, if you have the full intact band. I can't even imagine. Like I listen to all the old albums and I'm like, if you could have seen that with Bonham, and I don't even know. It just and this is really amazing. This would have been an amazing one to see if you could go to one of those shows.
I would kill to go to that O2 Arena show they did about 10 years ago, man.
Oh yeah, and I love the end when he says, we did it." That just breaks my heart.
Freaking Cashmere, man. That sounded, and then Cashmere at the end, it sounded so freaking just exploded bombastic. It was amazing.
Yeah. There's just so many jams on that one that like hit after hit. And we said
I was on the fence about that one because there is a little electric guitar in that one.
Yeah, that's one that's like, all right. It's still an Unplugged.
But I love when they showed him playing with these musicians from India and stuff like that in between. That was really cool.
Because that's some of them. I mean, like with the Unplugged, it's still they're doing an Unplugged, even with some stuff plugged in. Because that's like Al mentioned the organ, like the Hammond organ, that's going to be plugged in, and then like they have mics and amps and stuff, so it's still not 100% acoustic. It's most rooms are not equipped to handle anything that would legit be an actual just acoustic show. That whole you're good, Jerry. Talk.
No, I tend to interrupt, and I'm sorry.
Oh, whatever.
I jump the gun sometimes. I apologize.
You're good.
Oh, you're fine.
But that's you're gonna talk about it too, and it's just
that one.
yeah, it's phenomenal. But that's I don't know. My mind went blank, but yeah, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, No Quarter. If you guys are into Zeppelin covers, there's this band called Main Squeeze, and they do a version of No Quarter, and they do Floyd covers and they do other Zeppelin covers and different stuff. But this No Quarter that they do is like what tuned me into them, and I got to see them live a few weeks ago, and they were amazing. But I'll send you guys a link to that. It's killer. But Jerry, what's your number 5?
We talked about it a lot. STP.
Nice. Yeah.
Love the show. Like I said, it'd be Wyland's voice, underrated, amazing, great versions of the songs. I would love to have that on video somewhere if it ever came out.
They need to get their shit together and get all these out. I
now,
don't know why.
They didn't they release some kind of unplugged STP?
They have some, I don't know. I watch everything on YouTube, so I'm scamming.
They may have released some of those songs as B-sides.
Yeah.
Originally, I don't know.
Well, and that was
but as far as like a whole like thing, I don't know. It might be on one of the deluxe.
That's
editions.
what Andy said. That Core Deluxe has a bunch of them.
Deluxe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After watching that show, I remember thinking to myself, "My '80s shit's done. This is a new generation of music that's coming.
Yeah.
Out, No more Great White, Tesla. They're still around, but they weren't taking over MTV. Good show, good stuff.
Even with how young I was at the time, that I remember like TV and the grunge era coming in, and thinking about like even ads, like clothing ads and stuff when grunge was big, and it's like, oh, you can go to Abercrombie and buy a $100 flannel or ripped up jeans.
I used to wear flannel before that, so
yeah, I've always worn it too. It's just funny that like thinking about when the grunge era came, it just what a tidal wave of not just music but
fashion.
A whole, like
I used to wear a flannel around my waist and then had a jean jacket on.
Yeah.
I never listen, like I was there in real time as well. Like I was in the sweet spot. I mean, when grunge hit, I was just turning like 20.
Yeah, so, you had the perfect timing of being able to be appreciative of stuff before and really appreciate everything coming in.
So I was out of high school.
Yeah.
I was, going into adulthood,
driving around, smoking.
I was in the real world, and I just never, my generation, I've never seen such a change in music when Nirvana came out and they hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I never saw an about face of like a change in the music scene as
you
much.
You saw it right in front of your face. Yeah.
Well, like not just a music scene and like a whole culture of a generation shift.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like 5 or 6 and I can think of this in my mind and remember this. It's wild.
I remember it was all smells like Teen Spirit and Head Like a Hole, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's just so interesting.
Everybody always focuses on grunge, but it was like hip hop was really getting big. Industrial was really getting big.
Yeah.
There was even kind of like that kind of a jam band scene too. Like Dave Matthews Band was starting to come in.
Yeah.
Even country turned a little rockish in that area too.
Yeah, well that was
90s
country
really
was
Garth Brooks really ushered in like that bro country stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it was all different scenes, man. And I mean, the thing that like makes me laugh is like it was like when that scene happened, I embraced it, but I didn't go and throw out my Rat albums or my Motley Crue albums.
I was hesitant to let it in, but like I said, that show kind of made me say, well, I think it's, over.
Yeah.
Time to cut the hair or take the curls out of the hair and take the makeup off.
So I didn't really understand people that like completely like turned their back on like the 80s hard rock stuff. I was like, dude, I can listen I can still listen to Motley Crue and listen to fucking Soundgarden. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's always
exactly. And I was the
strange.
same way, but the media didn't allow the masses to do that.
Yeah, you were out.
You know?
80s rock was out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like that. But the thing is that, like I was saying, he was mentioning all these different genres, but also movies were more interesting. TV shows were getting edgier with the X-Files and Seinfeld, and the movies were more thinking with shocking endings. And
the whole culture changed, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s were different.
I think that era is the closest you're gonna get to like when the Beatles came and just completely changed like the culture as well in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
the 90s, I've said, is one of my favorite genres because decades in all kinds of entertainment. Because I was 92, so 92 I was 17, 18. You know, this was just coming out, and and it was being thrown at us. Everything was being thrown at us at a very fast pace, and the past was being hidden.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as quickly as it came, it was gone. It was just, people moved on that fast. And right now, in this time of day in 2022, it's hard to get a grasp of anything because it's one day to the next.
It is.
And people forget things fast.
New music nowadays is just so soulless, in my opinion. I mean, any guy can get on the computer and write a song.
It's very soulless.
Anybody can be a recording writer.
People learning how to play instruments is going down. I mean, music in school is, good luck finding a school a high school anyway, that'll still have band or any kind of music classes left in them, or any kind of arts, period.
Cool.
Yeah. So where are we at? Number 5?
Yep.
Okay. Who? Al?
No, it's you.
You are.
It's me?
You're 5. I think.
Really?
Right?
Yeah, I did Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and Jerry.
I did STP.
You
did STP. Thank you. Yeah. Mine's going to be, I'm going to stay with the letters. I'm going to go with AIC on this one. Alice in Chains Unplugged on this one. The songs on here were incredible. I'm kind of putting the very somber albums in the middle for some reason. But Alice in Chains, this album, I'm going to go see Jerry Cantrell next week, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, he was awesome. You'll love it.
Yeah, so I've seen Alice in Chains with Divine, right? Is that his last name, Divine?
Will Duvall.
And it was very good. So I'm very excited to see Jerry Cantrell, which will be my second time. I've seen him before in a festival setting, so that's gonna be really cool. But
the singer that he has with him was used to be in Dillinger Escape Plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
because I know that you saw him probably less than a month ago, right?
I just saw him, like a month ago, like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and he was incredible, man. He does a great mix of solo and Alice in Chains. You'll love it, dude.
Yeah.
You guys ever been to a Lollapalooza or Ozfest or anything like that? I've never been to any of those. Have you?
I've been to a couple of Ozfests and one Lollapalooza that toured. When Lollapalooza used to tour, it was one of the last ones in '97 with Prodigy and Tool and Snoop Dogg and James. I don't know if y'all remember James.
James,
lady.
Hell yeah.
And, what happened to Perry Farrell anyway? You don't hear much.
He's still around. They still they'll do a Lollapalooza.
They just announced a tour with Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And next Sunday, I'm going to see Smashing Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction.
There you go.
So I'm excited for that. That's that show in Daytona that I'm going to. They're playing Sunday. Jane's Addiction, and then Smashing Pumpkins, then 9 Inch Nails closes out the show.
I have a Smashing Pumpkins question. Now, does he have the band back, the original band?
The only one missing is Darcy.
Darcy's missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, James are there. No, Jimmy, James, and
I
Bill.
thought the drummer said no freaking way he'd ever come back.
Oh, man. He's been there for a while.
Really? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, I know he's having trouble with the band. I know he fired them all, or they quit or whatever.
Yeah,
they're back there, except for Darcy.
For Darcy, they tried to get Darcy back, but Billy said that she hadn't been practicing and
I think
that she just didn't care about it anymore.
That's good then. You don't want to see a half-ass. So
yeah, she was just out. But man, I love the Smashing Pumpkins. They're one of my favorite bands. I saw them with Garbage back for the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness tour. Now we gotta do a show on the top 10 double albums.
That would be amazing.
One of them. That's a badass album.
Yeah.
But Alice in Chains, they threw in some really good stuff together. Most of it is off of Dirt and a couple of tracks, off of their other acoustic albums. But man, it was just a great show, and I really enjoyed it. So that's why it's my number 5 as Alice in Chains.
All right, my number 4 is Nirvana. So again, like Jerry was saying, Nirvana hasn't really aged all that well with me. Like I liked them more back in the day, but if I do pull something out now, it's usually the Unplugged, which to me is my favorite album by them. I actually have it right here.
That was just an amazing show. I was never a fan of them, but I love that show.
Yeah, I actually have 2 versions of this vinyl. Yeah. There's like one that has more like rehearsal stuff on it too. It's like a double.
Oh, wow. It's like that's the definition of an unplugged album, man.
Yeah,
it's really.
Yeah. So this is a single one, and then this is a double one, which has more songs on it. So, but yeah, it's just an iconic one. The way the stage was set up with the candles looked like a funeral, and I really became I never really knew much about Meat Puppets, but when he invited them up to do a couple of songs with them, and he was saying you can find all these songs on their second album. I actually went out and got the Meat Puppets 2 album, and I thought they were great. And then at the time, their new album was Too High to Die, and they had the hit on there. Kate, can you help me out with this one? What was the Meat Puppets hit?
Or something water.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, my brain.
Something like that. I can't remember.
My brain kind of went dead because my friend just went to the hospital and is in labor right now, and I just got a text about it. So I was like,
something water with the something water. But anyway, like I got that album,
Backwater,
and it's a fucking awesome album. Like I think that everybody should get that.
Backwater.
Backwater. That's it.
Backwater.
But like the rest of that album is great, man. And so I became like kind of a Meat Puppets fan. I mean, I didn't go out and get their whole catalog, but got a couple of their albums, and
but that's awesome. Like a shout out like that. Could you imagine being
went so far
shouted out on one of those, and especially by Nirvana at the time?
They bring you up on stage, and you play with them. And they got popular after that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, just that would be.
I mean, it meant the world to them. It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that last song that he did, "Where Did You Sleep Last Night" by Lead Belly, like Kate said before, that last scream that he does, you could just tell like he was in pain, and it was legit,
Yeah,
so,
just thinking about it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so if I pull a Nirvana, if I listen to Nirvana, really it's the Unplugged one. It's the one I'll listen to.
That's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 4.
Yeah, doing Bleach or Nevermind or whatever, any of their big albums is great, but that Unplugged.
Because I only really like 2 songs from. I like All Apologies and Heart Shaped Box.
Yeah, those are awesome.
But that Unplugged show, I can watch the whole thing and get into it, man. It's that good of a show.
That's just such a wall to wall great album, top to bottom.
Yeah,
that would be my first inductee in the Unplugged Hall of Fame, I think.
Yeah. They might do that one day now that you talked about it. You spoke it into existence. So
number 4.
Were you all set out? You're done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kate.
My number 4, I'm going with Stone Temple Pilots. It's been talked about a couple of times.
Can't talk about it enough.
It's a great one.
I feel like our top 5, at least 4 of them, will all be the same. So it's just, yeah, you guys talked about it. It's phenomenal. He's amazing in it. And I was lucky enough to see them not long before he passed away. And he was like, seemed pretty sober and pretty put together when I got to see him. I
saw him like 3 days before he died.
Yeah, you said it was literally days. Yeah, mine was like, I think I saw him in August. And I don't know. We got really lucky to go to that. And I mean, just what a talent.
And he seemed fine, like at the show that I saw.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was.
You'd never know anything was up.
Yeah.
I thought, like, when we saw him, like I said, I thought he was clean and he was so put together. His voice was freaking phenomenal. And the whole band, like, they were just, yeah. And to think that like any of that was going on, it just blows my mind. And to find it out not long after.
You just thought that he had kicked it after everything that him and the band. And
yeah, I thought things were like smooth sailing,
Yeah.
It sucks, but I got lucky. I'm like so grateful for that because there's so many now that I think about that like was robbed of seeing, because we were just talking about that at the top of the show that never missed.
People aren't supposed to die.
Never miss stuff that you.
Yeah, I mean that's the last thing that
you don't think about.
You think is
well, and
that
I think like
you're gonna die.
So many famous people, like different famous musicians in that, where they're so much larger than life that they're in that like ethereal realm of your brain doesn't think about them being gone. It just doesn't process in my mind. So that was like Prince did that last like pop-up tour and he popped up in Detroit and I was like, I don't have $125. I'll see him on the next pop-up tour and then he's gone. It's like, damn it. Like, or John Prine, I just never ended up getting to see him, and that was like the like top of the pandemic. He's gone,
I gotta hurry up and see John Cougar before he dies.
You don't miss stuff now, especially after we went through these like 2 years of like almost no shows, and it's such a huge.
Yeah, man, what a waste of time. No, I say that. I take that back. I'm sorry.
No, but it's just a different time. It made you reevaluate everything. Like,
but
everything that you missed in that amount of time, like we've all been.
I can see why things were put on hold.
Things you take for granted, man. I mean,
exactly, stuff like that.
Whoever,
I mean, things we'll never do again, like blowing out candles on a birthday cake. We're never gonna do stuff like that.
I'm not worried about that. You aren't catching COVID from a birthday cake.
It changed.
It is funny. It is, just stuff you wouldn't even think about. That.
Well, I think they stopped doing bobbing for apples. Remember bobbing for apples when we were a kid?
I've done that. I've done that at a couple parties where I've had a bunch of drunk people bobbing for apples, or I do this donut on a string. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
You like hang donuts from a string and they have to go get it. That's always awesome with drunk people. It's fun.
No, I've never seen that or done that.
Oh my God, that's a hoot. You gotta do that at a party. It's always, but I just think about like getting back to this. Set is, I don't know. We all talked about it. We all appreciated it. It was on everyone's list. This version of Plush is my go-to. Like
incredible.
Creep. Yeah, like Wicked Garden. I don't know. There's just so many on here that are like the ones that if I have a playlist, like I'm big on making playlists, and that's the ones that I put on my playlist. And like, or if you do, I'll do karaoke or something that's like the Plush that people do instead of the studio one. So yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say anything else.
But the thing with these bands, unfortunately, I think they did them at the wrong time. With STP and Pearl Jam and Black Crowes, it's only their first album. All three of them.
Yeah.
Nothing off of Versus or Vitalogy. Nothing off of Purple.
Yeah, because it's all core for this one. It's all core. Yeah.
Well, maybe because they were the flavors of the month. That's probably why.
But I think it would have been great to see them a little bit.
It would have been amazing, if it was like a decade later, or if they were alive now and it's like a 20-year anniversary of whatever show. could you imagine even like, that's like 10 years ago, a 20-year anniversary for a lot of these, or a 30-year anniversary, but
it's just so crazy that this was just taken from one album sessions when they went on to more incredible things. And we be talking, and we're blown away by these one album acoustic sets. It's crazy. Jerry, what do you got?
What about number 4?
4, yeah.
Oh God, I love her to death, and my friends rip me all the time for loving her. But I am a huge Alanis Morissette fan. I loved her Unplugged. I love her voice. It's the voice of an angel. Everything she sings is perfectly in key. I love the show that she did at MTV. I mean, she did Thank You. You Learn, just great songs. Ironic, chock full of hits. Yeah, it was a great show. I don't know how you guys feel about her, but I'm a huge Alanis Morissette fan.
She's a great artist, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of her new album, but I love every album she did before that.
Man, but that Jagged Little Pill.
Got to see her last year. It was last year with Garbage. Great freaking show.
Oh, really?
Man, it's fucking awesome, dude. Her voice, and Shirley Manson can still belt it too. She still looks great.
Oh yeah.
I have a crush on Shirley.
When it comes to Alanis, man, I mean, that voice is just one of my favorites. I think it's one of my favorite female, if not my favorite female voice. I can understand how it can irritate people's ears sometimes, but I love her.
But it's so different.
I love the high pitched thing she did. Two of my favorite female singers are Alanis Morissette and Sarah McLachlan. They both do those things at the end. But I like it. I mean,
that was another big genre in the '90s too. That whole Lilith Fair, like the female.
Because that was like her Cranberries.
Yeah, that came in. That really came. Veruca Salt. That came into prominence.
Liz Fair, where all these women artists started writing Brave and not.
All kinds of people.
They were writing with balls and with heart at the same time, and it paid off because that stuff, like Jerry was saying about Alanis Morissette, she's a good writer. And she's a fantastic singer. I really like her.
And she's a great.
But unfortunately, once the media forgets about these people, they just put them to the back, and that's not fair because their sales really plummet. And then,
well, she sold out in Nashville. I don't know if she sold it in the low stuff. People still want to hear her. So
yeah. How many albums has she done, Jerry?
I think she's done 7 full studio albums.
Wow, really?
Counting the new one, yeah. Let me think. 1, 2, Flavors of the Tango, maybe 7 or 8. I got to really.
And they're all pretty good.
Oh yeah, except for her last one. Her last one, she did it at home, which is basically her and a piano.
Right.
There's some good stuff on it, and she wrote a lot about her kids and stuff.
It's funny.
She spent a lot of time with them in quarantine, And But I'm not ashamed to admit that I love her. I think the music world needs her still, in it right now. So
it's funny how she was like a Canadian dance artist before,
right? She was
reinventing herself.
There's a great show. There's a great show on. I can't remember if it was Amazon or HBO documentary about that. She was taken advantage of by people when she was young. Pretty interesting. And she got a good thing about Taylor Hawkins in there too. How she was really disappointed about how he left the band and stuff that made her cry, this and that, blah 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 blah. But she felt it was a good opportunity for him. And,
I really need to do a little bit more digging on her because after second or third album, I just didn't hear that much about the releases, and now that I know that they're there. I got to go digging.
She'll never write. She'll never have a success as good as Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the songs aren't
right. That's what I'm saying. The success that'll never happen again. But I think she prefers it that way. She wasn't a big fan of the huge fame. I don't think at first either. Kind of scared her a little bit.
And is it true? And is it true, or was it just a rumor that she was on? You can't do that on television.
I think she was on that one. I remember her talking about that in the documentary. One of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch that.
The show where you get slimed?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on that show.
Yeah. Every time they said "I don't know," they'd get slimed.
Yeah.
My number four, right? I'm gonna go with Al. It's going to be Nirvana, Unplugged in New York. There's nothing more I can say that Al didn't say. But when I listen to Nirvana, I still pull out Nevermind. To me, that's the perfect album. I love that album.
Yeah.
It's so raw and just so good, and completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, without saying too much more about it, because Al has said it all with the meat puppets making an appearance and stripping everything down, stripping down songs that were very loud and very plugged in, and now you can hear each chord. It's fantastic.
And I think it verified them as musicians too, because it sounded good. It wasn't sloppy or anything.
Yeah.
It was much more polished than their normal stuff. Yes.
And Chris Novosek's bass was just perfect for, when he was so used to slamming it, he just gently, So yeah.
As long as it's in his hands, not flying above his head.
Yeah.
I'd rather get hit with an acoustic bass in the head, though.
Yeah.
The whole Nirvana Unplugged thing too. I mean, they had to have Dave Grohl really tone down his drums. Like, if you notice,
is he like playing with fans on some of it too? That
he's just he's playing very, very lightly.
Yeah, or what are those stick ones?
Like bushels,
the brushes.
Yeah, I think he does brushes, but then there's those it's like a bunch of really skinny chopsticks taped together too. I can't think what that's called, but yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That Pep Smear was also on there too.
Yeah, and he's all of them being toned down like that. It's just, yeah.
Check out that Prince video. He's in that video.
I gotta look that up. Yeah.
Raspberry Beret.
I saw that picture.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
All right.
Number three. Kiss Unplugged. I got to go with this one, man. This was a huge deal for me when it came out. And I think Jerry, what did it come out? 95?
I think so. 95. They got back together in 96. So yeah. Around 95.
So yeah, I mean, it set in motion the catalyst for the reunion. Yeah. When Peter and Ace came out, I mean, people lost their minds.
Oh, dude, that was like, lifelong fucking treat for me, dude.
Yeah.
Did Sean know that was going to happen or no?
I didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah, it was a little harder to leak stuff back then than it is now.
Yeah. There was none of that Facebook and everything.
You still could be surprised.
Media, I was surprised as hell. But
yeah,
I mean, I had, when they were coming on, I had the VCR already with a blank tape. Yeah. Taped it. Watched it over and over.
Talk about that to kids now. They'd be like, what?
What's a tape? Yeah.
A tape?
But they did some great, deep cuts on there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Going Blind was great to hear. That's, one of my favorite songs, man. They did Sure Know Something. And the big surprise for me was when they did A World Without Heroes from, The Elder.
Gene's vocal on that was freaking incredible. He's not known as a great singer, but on his vocals on that song, even the studio version is amazing.
He really blew me away with that, man. And I Still Love You by Paul, that was incredible. I
thought everybody sang Nothing to Lose at the end. That was cool as hell, man.
Yeah,
everybody had a verse.
So yeah, man. I mean, the Kiss one was a very important one for me. That was a huge one. It's not my number one. But
that's my number 3 too, so we'll talk about it together.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Jerry. Take over.
Oh man, just see Ace come out and do 2000, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I've listened to those guys since I was 5 or 6 years old, man. The first band I really ever got into.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the living room, couldn't wait to watch Phantom of the Amusement Park to come out.
I remember that too. Yeah.
I remember getting in my sleeping bag, and there it was. I can't remember what CBS. Then I don't know, but when it came out, this is the coolest thing ever.
you watch it now. It's so cheesy.
Oh, geez, it gives me cringes. But
So yeah, that's my number 3.
I kind of felt bad for Eric and Bruce because he kind of knew something was going to be coming up after that, but they actually handled it pretty good. But
then they just start recording. Didn't they start recording Carnival of Souls like right after that?
Yeah, supposedly it wasn't finished. So I'm kind of curious how it would have sounded if they said it was finished it or whatever. So
yeah,
I like the way it sounded. So
I love that album. So,
but yeah, I mean that was, like I said, it was a dream come true for me. And then seeing them in full makeup a couple years later, man, just did it.
Oh yeah, the next year,
yeah,
that was like Kiss Mania.
I mean, that's fucking Ace Frehley in full fucking makeup, man, right there. Yeah.
So go ahead.
They kind of teased it a little bit in 89 or 90 when they did that video to Rise to It.
Oh yeah,
the dressing room, with putting on their makeup. I'm like, wait a second, maybe this is something cool going to happen. Never came to fruition or anything.
Yeah,
it was still cool. Yeah, it was an awesome show. I loved it.
All right, Kate, go ahead. Number 3.
I went with Alice in Chains, 1996. So
Nice.
We talked about it. Oh, everybody knows. It's another one like that Stone Temple Pilots or Nirvana or any of those that they're just A game the entire time, soup to nuts.
Oh yeah.
That version of Rooster, that version of Wood, like they're just so good on those. I don't know. There's something about the acoustic bass on those it just does it. I don't know. It just does it for me. We've talked about this before. We've talked about our live albums. This is always in like my top 3. Like, yeah.
And rightfully so. It's fantastic.
It's just really one that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I guess my number 3 is done. So I guess it's back up to you, Andy.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say about your Kiss?
Actually, I do. Thank you very much.
I like hearing you guys nerd out about Kiss because that's when you said the Neil Young thing, and I'm like, Kiss is my one that I'm like, but it's fun when guys, you guys are like, oh, this thing, and you think of something else, and you're like, oh yeah.
See, one thing about that show, they did Hard Luck Woman, and Paul sang that song. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, why is Paul singing that song? I guess Peter and Ace aren't even going to be there, so that's made it even more surprise when they come. And Pete, they did that acoustic version of Beth, man. I love Peter Criss's voice, man. I think he's got the best voice in the band. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but man, I just love his voice, and he sang Beth perfectly on that one.
I'll check it out. I'll have to listen to it.
Rules.
Yeah,
I love the acoustic version of Beth. I wish they would somehow go back, and they never happen now, but I'd love to hear actual. Well, they do have the studio version on the movie, but I think that's a remix with his vocals with some other crap. I don't know. I can't remember how they did that, but I would have loved to have Peter to do that acoustically. Like I think Eric Singer does that now, and I freaking hate it when he's out there playing the piano now, like he's fuck. Sorry.
I'll check it out though. I will, because that's like I've tried so hard to listen to them, and I had 3 other albums that I was going to sell, and I wanted to play test them, and it was like Destroyer, Love Gun, and I don't remember one of the other big ones, but it was like, oh, I just can't. And even I just couldn't do it.
Paul Stanley is.
I want to listen to this Unplugged because that's a lot. Even when you guys were saying like Nirvana's not your thing, but you could appreciate that, so I'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I think you'll really enjoy the Kiss Unplugged.
Yeah. I'll check it out. I should watch it. I'll see if I can find it on YouTube and watch it.
Paul Stanley has single-handedly destroyed the legacy of that band, and I'll never forgive him for that.
It's sad, yeah, because Ace has been here a few times, and when he comes, he plays at this tiny club that's like 2 miles from my house. And like, we should go see him because it'd be fun to see him at something that's like, I don't know, maybe 200 people would be there. It's really small.
Oh, he sounded tip top when I saw him with Alice Cooper, man. He sounded great freaking band too, man.
Alice Cooper's another dude who's an older dude that's
I had to leave halfway through Alice Cooper because I got sick.
Oh,
I'm a huge Nina Strauss fan, his guitar player. One of the main reasons why I wanted to go. I love her playing, and I was just so pissed. I was running like 102-degree fever. I had to get out of there.
Holy smokes! No. it's like you need to go to the hospital.
But,
Yeah, he's from Detroit originally. He always did the state fair here, so I'd seen Alice Cooper for free numerous times because every year he would do the state fair when it was like at the state fairgrounds, which it's moved, which is super lame. But I'd seen him a few times for free, and he was awesome every time.
That's the first time I saw him.
Yeah. All right, Andy.
Yeah. My number 3, just to say that Ace Frehley's going to be in East Houston next week.
Oh, nice. There you go.
But I'm not going to be around, but I am going to see Kiss on Thursday. My first time seeing Kiss. So I know it's not the original guys, but still, I need to see them somehow, some way. Because I just started listening to them in
it's the only way, dude.
2015.
Yeah, go see him, man. They still put on a great show. Even though Paul's voice isn't what it used to be, you'll still enjoy yourself. There's enough of a spectacle that'll keep you.
I'm sure just the people watching is.
Yeah, just to be there, to feel it, and maybe the crowd will sing everything, like they did in South America not too long ago. The whole crowd just sang every single song.
Every song.
Yeah. So
it'll be fun.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to release on the bands I'm going to go see for those 4 days, and I want to get y'all's take on if I'm missing someone, because I clicked the ones that I am going to go see. So I'll put it out there and see if y'all say, well, you should really go check out this other band too, since I'm going to be there. My number 3 has been talked about. Pearl Jam. I love that Unplugged session, and Kiss missed mine, just barely missed it, because it's such a the Kiss Unplugged was such a happy show. It was so uplifting, it was so upbeat from beginning to end. It was great, but it missed mine. But man, I sure would have loved to see Pearl Jam Unplugged maybe after No Code. Man, how amazing that could have been. But I'll take what I got, and after 10, they could do no wrong after 10. And when they did this Unplugged session, I was so excited. I sat down and I watched it. And like I was saying, they started with Oceans, which is just fantastic. And it really shows the vocal range of Eddie Vedder on the. Sorry, I meant to say Eddie Vedder because there's only one Eddie that can be spoken of by the first name. So by Eddie Vedder. And but Black, when he ends it, so we belong together, you just feel the emotion when these guys just go off script. You can feel their emotion in these songs, and the redone of Jeremy. Now, I've seen Pearl Jam twice, and both times were just, you don't want to leave. You want more.
You don't want to go pee, even though
you're
exhausted. You want more. So that's my number 3. It's going to be Pearl Jam.
I actually have a Neil Young moment that I actually really enjoyed is when they did Rocket in the Free World with Pearl Jam.
Yeah, it was like for MTV Music Awards.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And in fact, they did a whole album together.
Yeah, the Mirror Ball. That was
I never knew that.
Yeah. Where Pearl Jam plays the part of Crazy Horse.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's Neil's backing band.
Yep.
All right. My number 2, I'm going with Page and Plant, Unleaded. Got to go with that because when I came on too, just like the Kiss one, I was such a Zeppelin fan, and to see them together again was freaking phenomenal. And I went to see that tour as well. I saw the 2 tours that they did. I saw the Walking into Clarksville tour after that too. But I saw that Unleaded tour, and let me tell you, man, whenever they went into a Zeppelin song, I never heard a crowd roar louder than any concert I've ever been to. It was phenomenal. It was deafening, and I mean, I looked at it, it's the closest I was ever going to see Zeppelin, man. And I love some of the rearrangements that they did to the songs. I mean, Nobody's Fault But Mine, No Quarter. It was great, man. Friends. Battle of Evermore, Gallows Pole was really cool. So I mean, I love that whole show, man. I got the DVD of it when they released it, and it's got like some nice bonus footage on there. But yeah, man, Page and Plant, man, I watched that over and over, man. I remember taping that too at first, and then I went out and got the album, the CD or whatever, and yeah, I love that one, man. It still just misses number one by a hair. I think Kate knows what my number one is, but Kate, you go ahead. What's your number two?
All right, so this is the first time this isn't one of my number ones on any of our stuff. So I'm doing Nirvana. I listened to them both, my 1 and 2, and I was like, oh, all right. I always end up picking Nirvana. I think that was my live one. I think I did Nirvana as my number one, but you guys have talked about it. It is what it is. It's just so good. Them, the way they were, I don't know, it is just one of those like lightning strikes kind of shows to me, I guess. That you just had everything set just right. That's like the set, the way they all played, that toned down, like how you said Novosevic, and I don't know, just everything on that is so perfect. Start to finish, Meat Puppets, with everything that we've all talked about now, that is just such a phenomenal album. And
I said it actually, verified it was good musicians, not just noise,
yeah, and thinking about these guys that like usually their shows are just chaos. And
I mean,
them just,
actually
if they're like wilding out during a regular live show, and this they're more subdued, and you can really hear how good of a musician each one of them is, and like how good Kurt's voice could be. And that's that, like,
the same could be said about the Kiss one. Everybody always slag Kiss off as like, they're not great players. Yeah. I mean, when you strip everything down, if a song sounds great in acoustic, it's a great fucking song, man. So Kiss really showed to me, man. Kiss really showed that like they had great songs, man. And
Gene in the 70s was a badass bass player.
Dude, his bass playing was incredible.
In the 80s, he kind of checked out because he was, wasn't involved with the band that much. But his bass lines in the 70s were awesome.
Yeah, very McCartney like.
And him and Paul, they're both very clean players, man. And Ace made a lot of mistakes, but that was Ace, though. I mean, what made Ace so cool.
Yeah.
Paul and Gene were really clean players.
Yeah, that Kiss Unplugged I got on CD over there, and I love it. I
love the Unplugged, the acoustic versions they did off the Symphony DVD, too. That was pretty cool. Even though that was Tommy, but it was still good, though. But I enjoyed it. They do acoustic really well.
Yeah.
It's cool to see a band like that. Like, I'll have to go and watch the Kiss one because I've never watched it. But to see someone like Nirvana, that you think of them just tearing it up, and they're destroying the whole set and smashing all their instruments and kicking in the drums and the amps and everything. And then they're just so chill and put together, and everyone's just tip top playing and putting their whole heart and everything, or whatever. Like, if you're not religious, not their soul, or however you want to describe it. It's just, they were tuned in. They were tuned into the ether, or however you want to describe that album. That is just amazing. Yeah. Yep.
Number 2, Jerry.
My number 2 is Eric Clapton Unplugged.
Wow.
Layla, awesome version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I still tear up when I hear Tears in Heaven about his son, man. That song just gets me.
It might be the saddest song ever.
Oh, dude, it just gets you.
It's one of those. They're like how I said that end of Nirvana kills me every time I hear it when he's doing Lead Belly, but that Tears in Heaven, I can't even listen to it. If it comes on something, I turn it off.
To watch your kid fall from a bed.
No, I can't even think about it.
Oh.
I don't even have children. It makes me sick. Like, I can't even imagine one of my pets.
I got a daughter. Well, she's 30 now, but still.
But like a human child.
But I just think there's so much soul in that whole concert. I mean, that's soul, but feeling into his playing. And I'm not a huge Clapton fan per se. I like his hits, but I really enjoyed, some of the deeper tracks he did on that album. I can't think of some right now, but his playing is phenomenal on it.
Oh yeah,
and I love that version of frickin' Layla. A lot of people didn't like it, but I really loved it. And I own that album. That's one of the albums I do own from the Unplugged era, and I haven't listened to it in a long time. I think I need to, but fucking great show, great album. Good.
Yeah, he's one that's like, he was on my list that it's like, I don't go out of my way to put Clapton on, but that whole thing is just so good.
So good.
He's just so good. He lends himself to that so well. There's a handful of these guys that we've all mentioned that it's like that was their element. That was their magnum opus or whatever you want to call it. They were in their element when they were doing that set.
That's probably one of the more successful Unplugged too, as far as
that's one of the best selling ones. Yeah,
he sold
a lot of accolades.
Whole loads of that, man.
That's one of the top selling ones.
And I should really get that on vinyl. I've seen that at Walmart a couple of times.
That's all these that we've talked about. I'm like, I
got it right before it went out of print, so I'm kind of lucky to have it.
Yeah, I got on cassette and CD, but I never got on vinyl. I don't know why I need them all three, but
if there's ever two Unplugged shows that I would introduce people to, it would be that one and the Nirvana one.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, those are both good picks that I think, like you guys said, like even Jerry was like, Nirvana's not your thing, but
dude, you gotta love that show. I've said it 1,000 times. You gotta love that show, dude. The show kicked ass.
So good.
Yeah. My number 2 is going to be Eric Clapton Unplugged. Same thing. And the funny part about this is that both him and Paul do San Francisco Bay Blues on their Unplugged sets. They both do. But on the Eric Clapton, he uses a kazoo along with his guitar.
Oh, that's funny.
Really cool.
I wouldn't even have thought of it.
To hear with a kazoo.
That you said it, yeah.
The songs on here are amazing. Starts off with a great acoustic, and then Before You Accuse Me, which was on his 82 album. Tears in Heaven, of course, which has been spoken about. But there's so many songs on here that are so great, like Lonely Stranger, Nobody Knows When You're Down and Out, which is
that one's the one that's like
which is a blues standard.
Hey, I think was on there.
Yeah, and the reworking of Layla just shows the musicianship in it. Running on Faith, which was on his maybe mid-'80s album. And I know that I'm going to mention everything. Alberta. It's just a beautiful song.
Yes.
But the cream of the crop on this one has got to be Old Love.
Yeah, it was like 8 minutes long, wasn't it? It was a great.
Yes, man, his guitar solo on there.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop. And then he passes on to Chuck Leavell, who played with the Allman Brothers after, I think from Brothers and Sisters on, he was the piano player along with Greg Allman, was Chuck Leavell. Man, he does this great piano solo, and they just jam on that song.
Yeah. I remember it being really long and cool. It's like 8 or 10 minutes long. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and with a shuffleboard on a couple of songs, man, they were just it was a big celebration of music, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. And I'm surprised that this is not my number 1 because I love it that much, and it's one that I do listen to quite a bit. But I do like Eric Clapton a lot. I've got almost everything that Clapton did with Cream, the Derek and the Dominoes, and her solo stuff and live stuff. So I'm a big Clapton fan. Even though a lot of people are right that when it came to his solo stuff, he didn't play his guitar as much as he should have, which is true. He did let it go to just regular pop rock. Is what it was. But man, when he released the blues album, he really put his chops in there, which just shows how great he is. He wasn't a one-trick pony. the way that everyone thought that he was going to be after Cream and after he was after, especially the Layla album, Layla and other assorted love songs, which was just a tour de
Some of those pop songs are really good though.
Such an iconic album that everyone had in their collection.
Forever Man, those are good tunes.
Yeah. But I always think about Clapton, like he did a ton of work tracking down old unrecorded blues songs. So the thing he's like preserved so many songs that were never recorded is amazing too.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, you know, he's still a student of the blues. I've seen him a couple of times. And the first time I saw him was during the it was the Eric Clapton Blues Festival, which was for Crossroads. It went to Dallas, and man, it was one of the best things I've ever seen. Him on stage with Carlos Santana, and then trading licks.
Yeah,
and he played with everybody on there. He played with B.B. King, and you know, even he's a very good guitar player, but he's very underrated because. But John Mayer,
I love John Mayer's guitar.
He's another dude that gets written off. Yeah.
So it was him, Clapton, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, and Jimmy Vaughan, just sitting on stage together, just trading licks for about 45 minutes. It was just great. And then to see Jeff Beck with Eric Clapton together, going back and forth. And then it was just a phenomenal show. I could go on and on. I mean, he jumped in with ZZ Top. You know, he would just go up there and start playing with ZZ Top. And, you know, he did that with Joe Walsh. And it was just a great day. It was just
we're talking about his pop stuff. He did that song Change the World. I can't remember the name of the movie it was on. It was John Travolta.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, some kind of weird powers or something.
Phenomenon.
I really love that.
Yeah.
I like a lot of his pop tunes. I thought there is.
Yeah, I like that really too.
Good. Yeah, and he's amazing that when people think of one way and he flips the script on the listener, and he makes you want to listen to his music a different way, which is great. So I got my number 2. Ow! Number 1.
All right, Kate, you guess it for me. You know what it's going to be.
Alice in Chains.
Right here. My favorite band out of that whole scene. This is actually signed by Mike Inez.
Cool.
Right here.
Actually,
it's cool. When he signed it, it was actually at an Alice in Chains acoustic show here in New York City. I actually still have the wristband in here.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after the concert, like I just walked up to the stage, I had a Sharpie on me, and Mike was like just kind of hanging at the stage still, and he signed it for me, which was really cool. But yeah, this album is so important to me, man. I mean, the opening of Nutshell was awesome. The whole
that song, my God, when I first heard it.
Yeah, because I really love the Jar of Flies EP. That was like one of my favorite. The way they would like have an album and then come out with a cool EP, then an album, then an EP was kind of a cool way to keep
people interested and change it up.
Change it up. I think they kind of made the EP popular, again, because nobody was really doing it before them except maybe Metallica.
Rappers and hip hop, but otherwise, I feel like you're right that it wasn't.
Yeah. So the story behind this too is like, Lane was struggling, man, through kind of in the beginning of the show, but even with his struggling, his voice was still haunting, incredible. I mean, it just, if you don't feel it in your soul, man, I mean, it's like, if you don't feel the pain that he's feeling, you're not human, man. The guy
laid it all out, man.
The guy relayed his pain through his voice and his lyrics and things like that, man. I'm not really even going to go down the track listing because it's just, they touch on all the great ones, man. But I love this album so much. It's still regular rotation for me, when I want to throw it on and just kind of chill out and hear some haunting melodies, Alice in Chains just like fits the bill for me, man. And they were my favorite out of the whole Seattle scene, one of my favorite bands of the 90s. And you're going to see Jerry Cantrell next week, dude. I mean, it's going to be incredible. So, you'll have a good time.
Those two can
I'm really
harmonize
looking forward to
too,
it.
man. Jerry Cantrell and Lane, they can harmonize so beautifully.
The harmonies are just so incredible, man, that they came up with. That sound, I mean, they have their sound, man. You know, that
Like
nobody
Wood,
had.
how Wood goes. I mean, the
Yeah.
harmonies, the vocal harmonies in that song are amazing.
Exactly.
The way, just like, and I said, the way the bass sound, like everything in that.
Oh, the
so
bass,
good.
the bass rattles too, man. It's like really,
Yeah,
I-
it's just everything about that is so good.
that's a whole other thing, Kate, too. Like the mix of this one is like really, really good. Like just
Ah,
the way the
those-
guitar, the way the acoustic guitars sound and
Yeah,
the bass and the
because
drum.
that stuff, that's the one, that's my go-to one when I want to listen to them. That's the one I put on. You know,
Exactly.
that's the album I put on when I want to listen to them, because that's them at their.
Yeah, that's my number one, man.
Yeah,
Number one
Yeah.
for me.
And the thing
I
is,
knew it as like, it's so good. It's just, yeah. Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna agree with Lane Staley's performance. You can see his body,
He looks so frail, like,
but his voice is so strong, and his
yeah. And he like
just
builds
wanting
into
to get
it.
his story out before
Yeah.
it's too late. You know, that's
Yeah.
the kind of feel it gives you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not-
it's wild that he's just like you said, Al, he's like kind of quiet. You know, you can tell he's not there, and then it just all of a sudden he comes into,
yeah.
it's like he
Fucking
comes into
drugs,
focus.
man.
Yeah,
Fucking
well, like
drugs.
all came into focus, and he just melts into that, and yeah,
I
Incredible.
can only remember one time of that happening right in front of me. And I'm sorry to talk, but because I know this is case number one, I went to go see the Beach Boys. And the first set was just, Beach Boy hits. And Brian Wilson was like not even there. He could care less. But when they came out for the second set, Brian Wilson took over.
he tuned
Right.
back in.
I didn't think he toured
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
in fact,
still
I'm going to go see him in a couple of months.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're going to open up for Chicago.
I thought he just wrote songs and let the other guys sing them. I thought, okay.
But that second act, when he came out and they did Pet Sounds, side 2 to Pet Sounds,
Yeah,
you didn't know anybody else was on the stage.
yeah.
You just saw him.
I
And
think
he took over like he was asleep in the first half. He didn't give a shit. The second one, it was seeing a master at work.
I feel like guys like that,
Brilliant songwriter. Amazing songwriter.
he like tuned back into his former self, that he was like channeling his past self.
Yeah,
I've
or
seen a
like he
handful of
didn't
stuff
care
like that.
about doing,
Yeah.
Miranda, but he couldn't wait to
Yeah,
get.
and he's like, whatever. Like those were throwaway songs, whatever.
Yeah, he
but
couldn't
then
wait
the,
to
like,
sing "God Only Knows" and
because
and
like
I just
Pet
wasn't
Sounds-
made for these times. And
It's like a lot of people just know them for Kokomo, but man, they have so many great songs back in the
And it's like
70s.
Pet Sounds is such a experimental and different album, and to think of like he obviously is on the spectrum, and that's the full expression of what his brain was capable of. Because if you watch,
and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject, but it's just that the
but
Lane
if
thing,
you've seen it in person and you see someone's brain working like that, and then they tune back into, and I get what you mean. I've had a couple experiences at shows like that, but that, like if you watch the Wrecking Crew, and they talk about him, where they're like, he would go from one musician and be like, do this, do this, do this, do this, all the way down the line, and by the time he was back to number one, it's like they lost where they were, and he's correcting it. Like that's how much was going on in his brain all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry about that. Kate, was your number
you're
one?
fine. Were you all done yet? You were all done?
No, are you done? I'm sorry.
No, Kate's got to. I'm done.
You're
I'm
done?
done.
You're done.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
I did Pearl Jam. I usually this kind of stuff, Nirvana and like Alice in Chains are my top two, but this one I just re-listened to this, and I listened to it like 2 times because it's so good. And you guys talked about it. It starts off with Oceans and like State of Love and Trust, and Eddie in this is peak Eddie. Like, this is him. He's so vibrant and so intense. Like everything he's doing, he's just so tuned in. I love him to death. I think he's just like one of the best musicians and singers. Like his voice maybe is not the best voice, but what he does with his voice and how much he can do, he's just, yeah, I just adore him. I think he's amazing. He does a ton of work for charities and he's a good human in that. Agree with his politics or not, because how we were talking about like when he's writing on his arm, he's writing pro-choice in that.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's like he was so intense. And I think yeah, and he's 100%, you know, when you're seeing him on any of that stuff, and when I saw him at Austin City Limits, and out of all the shows I've seen ever live, one of the probably top 3 shows I've ever seen live. I mean, they were just, all of them were just killing it, just insane. And this is like a decade ago, so it's later in their career when I saw them, but they just still tear it up live. And to see him where like I can't think of what year it was, but when they had that accident where some people were killed at their show.
Ross killed.
Yeah, and it destroyed him. Like
I think that was like early 2000s.
Yeah, and like people always think all these grunge guys like don't give a shit, and it's that teenage angst and they don't care about anyone, and it's like, no, Eddie Vedder like cares so much, and that accident really messed with him and made
those
him,
are the people outside looking in.
Yeah, and now especially, like they've donated, like my fiance and I were talking about it earlier, that there's a weird like chromosome issue disease that you can get where your skin doesn't develop normally, and he's donated, like him and his wife have raised like $15 million for this cause. $15 million because his wife's friend's child had this disease, and it's really bizarre. You don't make collagen in your skin, and it sounds like that's not something that would really affect you, but all these kids end up passing away really early, and with all this money that they've raised, they've had like tons of gene therapy and stem cell therapy and different viral therapies and all this stuff that they've figured out to help these people, like, and not people, I should say, their children. I mean, like little kids that are passing away from this. So it's like people always want to think that he's like a character, you know. Some people act like he's on the level of like how people want to badmouth Bono and different people that are larger than life like that it's like, oh, they're like a character of a person. It's like, no, he's like,
he's real, man. That's why
he's real. He's phenomenal. Like when they play a set and they're playing for 3 hours, they're giving everything they have every night that they're playing a live show. I mean, I just can't say enough nice things about him and them. I mean, the whole band is, yeah.
The last time I saw them was at the New Orleans Jazz Fest.
Oh, that'd be such a cool venue. Yeah,
and it's such a great way to see a band when they start off in the afternoon. So the sun's up and the sun's starting to go down. And that was the last time I saw Pearl Jam.
That'd be awesome.
Sun, I mean, they were ending. I think they ended with State of Love and Trust, of course, plugged in, and the sun was just going down.
They're good.
You're just exhausted.
Yeah. They're just phenomenal, plugged in or unplugged. I mean, that's just a band that they're just killing it when they're like anything that they're doing, any live show that they're doing is just.
And I get excited still for every new release. Except for Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't have to like everything by the end if you want to.
Yeah, but I was excited for it, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a bummer when you have like.
But their last one was kick ass, man. Their last one was kick ass.
Yeah, but I even like his stuff, like what ukulele songs and that kind of stuff, and.
Yeah, I really didn't. I really haven't given that a chance that much.
I like when we saw him live. He like puts down a guitar and he gets out a ukulele and he's like, "This is a gateway instrument." Like, all right. So I don't know. Yeah, I could gush all night. I just adore him. I think he's great.
All night.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, what's your number
Jerry,
one, man?
what's your number one?
Do you really? Come on now.
Was it Kiss?
However, I want to
Like,
do one shout out.
Oh no! I know what it is.
One guy, they did a really ballsy unplugged show. I'm not a rap fan at all, but LL Cool J. I thought his show. I'm not like I said a rap fan, but I thought it was pretty badass and pretty brave of him to do an unplugged show. And it was pretty cool. But my number one, Page and Plant, man. Hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite band. I wish JPJ would have been there, but other than that, it was perfect.
I think they didn't include him because they didn't want the Zeppelin compare. They didn't want it to be like a Zeppelin reunion.
Yeah, that's one big thing why Robert Plant never wants to do Zeppelin again because it hurts every time to see, because he was really good friends with John Bonham.
Yeah.
And people think it was money.
That was so tight.
That'd be hard.
When they're offering what, $200 million to do a tour and they turn it down, that just tells you it's not about the money.
It's not.
But
it's more about that.
I love the tracks they did, like when they said earlier, like when they were in India and weird countries like that, playing these weird instruments. And,
Morocco.
Yeah, just really cool as hell. I mean, freaking the version of the Rain song was incredible on that record.
Oh yeah.
And I like Thanky. And now, see, that's what kind of confused me a little bit because Thanky, I think Jimmy was playing the electric guitar on that one.
He was.
So I was kind of confused about if that one was
the unplugged or not.
But they even did freaking 4 sticks, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they've ever done that song before live. I'm not aware of it. But
when he did that was incredible.
It just blew my mind. I mean, even the end with Kashmir with the India, what was the kind of orchestra, whatever they had behind them was just cool sound.
Yeah, it's like
they have sitar and different stuff.
With Kashmir they had like the guy that turns the thing.
Right, yeah, it's weird, but it was cool. It worked.
Like a hurdy-gurdy.
Hurdy-gurdy, yeah, that's it.
I mean,
I only know that because Donovan.
What else did they do? They did That's the Way, didn't they?
That's
freaking Gallows Pole. Since I've Been Loving You. I mean,
yeah.
When they went
only song I wish they would have done more is one of my favorites is Going to California. But other than that, man, set list was top notch.
Yeah.
I never got to see any of the Page Plant shows though, unfortunately.
Man.
I did see Jimmy with the Black Crowes though, but that was kind of cool.
I missed that one, man.
So, how was that, Jerry?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. I mean, Chris Robinson is another underrated vocalist, man. When it comes to blues rock, man, he's top. I mean, he's top of the game.
I think Jimmy Page missed the boat on. I think he had a great idea with that, having the Black Crowes as his backing band. I think he should have did that with a couple of bands. I think the best one he should have took Heart out as his backing band.
Yeah, Heart plays the shit out of Led Zeppelin live.
And Wilson could have sang that stuff incredibly. And he missed the boat on that, man. He should have did that like he did with the Black Crowes.
You talking about a top-notch player, Nancy Wilson. Did you ever see the performance she did at the Lincoln Kennedy Center?
Yeah.
That version of Stairway to Heaven with them watching.
And
she's got to go up there to play Stairway to Heaven and not fuck up, and she nailed it.
I love their faces. I like watching those when you watch the original artists and watch their expression when someone's doing their song.
Plant, he was kind of moved Robert Plant. He was it was kind of cool. I love how they had the big ass choir at the end and all that. That was pretty cool. But man, that show, loved it. I mean, nothing better in my opinion as far as Unplugged goes.
Yep. So that's your number one. Well, my number one, I think y'all might know what it is. But my number one is Neil Young. Man.
See, now you guys are never going to invite me back on, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's Andy's dude,
There's
man.
no problem. I'm a big.
You're out of here, Jerry.
Big Neil Young fan. But
Screw that guy.
But the thing is that there was an '80s album called oh shit, Trans, and they did Transformer Man on Unplugged because it's really hard to hear Transformer Man on Trans because he's singing it through a vocoder where you cannot really make out the words. And he had made that for his son, who has cerebral palsy and has to speak through one. So that's why he had made that album for his son. But when he did Transformer Man on Unplugged, where you could actually hear the words, man, it was awesome. Transformer Man, String Man, and this was released to for the Harvest Moon album. So of course, Harvest Moon is on here. It sounds fantastic, and that's a song that I danced to with my wife at our wedding.
Yeah.
She surprised me with Harvest Moon, but there's another song on there called "From Hank to Hendrix," which is a fantastic song too, and "Unknown Legend" is just, man, it's awesome. "Unknown Legend" is great too. But like Al was saying, like a hurricane on that pump organ, and his voice on there just so, just, I know a lot of people complain about his voice, and rightfully so. It's different, but when you get used to hearing his voice, it's real. His words, his message, it's always real. So Neil Young is my number one. And there's a song out here called "Long May You Run," and I was I was listening to a podcast called Rivals, and it's a podcast about all these bands that break up and the inside stories. Well, he was on tour with Stephen Stills, and they made an album together called "Long May You Run." And while they were on tour, they were on the West Coast, so somewhere in the Carolinas. And they were in different buses, and Neil was in front of him, and Neil went this way, and Steven went this way, and Steven's going, "What the hell?" So when Steven gets to the hotel that they were supposed to get at, there was a message, and it was to Stephen Stills. Neil writing, "Sorry, change of plans." he left them high and dry, because Neil Young's always changing. I mean, he's always going to do whatever he wants to do. And here comes, they were on a tour together, and sorry, change of plans. And it's kind of a dick move, but that's just how Neil goes. He flies to the seat of his own pants, and that every album can be different. You don't know what to expect. Sometimes I hate the album, sometimes I love it, sometimes it grows on me, sometimes it doesn't. But that's why we love music, because every time something is released, we get excited, and they're our heroes. So we follow them. So my number one was "Unplugged" by Neil Young. Jerry's number one. I'm sorry.
Page and Plant.
Huh? Yeah, Page and Plant. And Kate was
Pearl Jam.
And Alice in Chains by Al. I'm sorry, I usually write all this down.
You're
this
fine.
time I didn't. But thank you so much for taking the time, guys.
I got a couple honorable mentions.
Yeah, I made an honorable
mention. Great. Please go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna run through a couple that I love too.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these are like the 2-in-1 episodes where they were like real short, but like the early ones. But the one that Jerry said before, I like that MTV Unplugged rap with LL Cool J, De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, and MC Light. I thought that was a really cool one because I like A Tribe Called Quest. Yes. I love LL Cool J and De La Soul. Those three hip hop groups I liked a lot. So that was a cool one. I really like the Great White and Damn Yankees one. That was a 2-in-1 episode.
Damn Yankees did one? I never knew that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
it was a Great White and Damn Yankees. They were both 2-in-1 episode.
I remember seeing Great White, but I don't remember seeing Damn Yankees.
Yeah, Damn Yankees, man. They did Coming of Age. They did Cat Scratch Fever. I think they did one more. So that was a good one. Rat and Vixen. That was another one. That was cool. And Rat actually had Michael Schenker on guitar for that one.
Oh yeah!
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, interesting.
So Michael Schenker was that one. They did Way Cool Jr. and then they did Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green. They did
Oh Well.
Yeah, they did Oh Well, and then they did CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Wow.
It was weird how Rat like did like 2 cover songs and then one
Like classic rock.
Yeah. Another one I love was Black Crowes and Tesla, like Jerry said before. That was a great one. Allman Brothers Band did a great one.
Yeah.
That almost made my top 10.
Was that at the Beacon?
I don't know where that one was. But that was a good one too.
Yeah.
Smithereens and Graham Parker. That was like the second Unplugged episode. And I got to give a shout out to Smithereens because of one of my favorite New Jersey bands. And Scorpions did one too in Athens. Yeah. This was a much later one, like 2005 or something like that.
Yeah, they made a big about that.
Yeah. So those are a couple of shout outs to the ones I like. So, Great White when they did "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You" by Zeppelin. Incredible.
Oh man, yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, they did do that.
Yeah.
Now Jack Russell really can build them out.
Oh, dude, that was at his peak vocal power.
Yeah. Babe, I'm gonna leave you. Kate, did you have some honorable mentions?
I do. First thing, because I had to Google it because I could not remember the name. The disease that I was talking about that Eddie Vedder raised all that money for was epidermolysis bullosa. So I'm going to post a link about that charity because it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's cool. But my honorable mentions, something I normally wouldn't listen to, but I ended up listening to this week was Lauryn Hill's. Phenomenal voice. She does a bunch of cool covers on that. Yeah, I mean, it's great. You guys mentioned that Rod Stewart that one's awesome. Bryan Adams, 10,000 Maniacs one you guys mentioned.
That was incredible show. I love that one.
Tony Bennett one was really good too.
Yeah, I have Tony Bennett's on my list. And that's Tony Bennett. He's great. That's another entertainer that I feel like, I don't know if he gets written off as like old timers music or whatever, because he's more of like a standard dude. Like
the guy's like 90 and he's still doing it.
Yeah, and he was cool. Like, I'm not into Lady Gaga, but that album is good, and she's a classically trained piano player too. Like, it's interesting when these guys get with someone younger and do something,
Yeah, I think Lady Gaga is a phenomenal artist.
Yeah, I don't have to like their music to know that the woman has an incredible voice.
Talented, yeah.
You ever hear her do Black Dog by Led Zeppelin?
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
it's freaking. Because I think she used to be in a Zeppelin cover band before she made it big.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I seen her concert once, and man, she was great. She was great when I saw her.
Yeah.
And she can somewhat act.
Her stuff's just not my cup of tea.
No, I agree.
Like that Tony Bennett album's great, and then seeing her do other stuff where she does live shows, you can see how talented she is. Like
Now, if you hear her and a piano, it's a whole different.
That's what I mean. Like, her being a classically trained pianist and her voice, like that's when she really shines in my mind.
Yeah.
I had Aha. I was joking about it earlier, but I'm like, no, I actually dug that. That one's Alanis Morissette's obviously, like Jerry talked about it, but I was super into that Jagged Little Pill album. And then
I would still marry her if I could.
Her Unplugged is killer. REM, that was one that was like,
that's a good one too.
Yeah, I was trying to decide what on my top 10 that was fighting for that versus
they did two of them too.
Yeah, it was like 99 and 2001. Yeah, and it's, I don't know, that was trying to decide between that I ended up like crossing that out and put Neil Young on my list, but that was a good one.
91 was for that Out of Time.
Yeah.
For that.
Yep. Yeah. So there's just so many good ones. As I'm like, there's over 100 of them, and then thinking that most of them don't have actual album releases. I'm like, man, they need to get it together and get these out so people can have them. So that's a lot of them. What was cool is a lot of them were released first on vinyl, which is actually pretty cool in my mind that they kept with that.
I think the problem is that MTV probably owns the rights.
Yeah, and that's a band to be afford to battle MTV for something.
Unless these bands like struck a deal beforehand where they own the rights to their own Unplugged. I think that's why a lot of these aren't like officially released and stuff.
Yeah.
Kiss, Gene was going to be like writing in there like
There's no way
that was like
a
100-page contract, I guarantee.
Exactly.
All the writers on that.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if they release those things as albums or whatever, they freaking sell like hotcakes.
That's what I was wondering with like talking about the Pearl Jam one that I was like, they did it.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam one was in 92 and then not released until 2020. So it's
like, and it made some noise. It made a loud noise. So hopefully that might trigger.
I'm hoping, maybe some of these other people get it going.
Well, there's another kick to it.
And again, like these bands that played like the shorter sets, that there's stuff sitting in the vault that wasn't even released on our telecast.
That's when you were saying that earlier. I'm like, they need to. They need to get it together and release the whole set.
Yeah, like Al was saying, I'm pretty sure that Stevie Ray Vaughan didn't go in to play a 50-minute set and was out the door.
Yeah.
No. Him and Joe Satriani usually play 15-minute songs. So it's like, there's no way that's all that they did.
Exactly.
No that would be really cool to see for sure. Yeah.
So that's what
Jerry,
I got.
You got
like I said, I had LL Cool J, I had Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam. What's your honorable mentions? What's way high on your guys' list?
Yeah.
I apologize.
You're fine. Everybody's different.
Yeah. Duran did a pretty good set.
Duran was I felt like Duran didn't translate that well into acoustic though. They're just too much they're just like too much of an electric band. You know?
And like Kate mentioned Lauryn Hill, I really enjoyed her show.
Hers, if you guys haven't really like, I only listened to it, I didn't watch it because I had like a mixed playlist going, but hers is phenomenal. I'm like, man, I forgot how good of a vocalist she is.
And REM and I'm putting Aerosmith in there because I completely forgot about him, so at least I'm going to mention
it.
I completely forgot. That would have been on the list. I don't know who I would have got rid of, but that's a tough one.
The back half on this top 10 was really hard for me to settle in. Yeah.
What would have been the weirdest Unplugged band? I mean, what would have been the weirdest band to do an Unplugged show?
Weird Al.
Imagine him.
Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden would be pretty cool. Unplugged.
Maiden probably would kick ass, though. That would be or like I bet Priest. I mean, I bet Priest could do a killer one.
Well, Priest has a couple. Like they have some acoustic stuff. They can translate.
I bet they would have killed.
They did they've done a great acoustic version of Diamonds and Rust when Ripper was in the band. So it was really cool. And then they have a couple mellower songs that would be great on acoustic.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see them doing Electric Eye like acoustically.
No,
that's crazy.
I want to hear Painkiller.
Painkiller acoustic. Imagine that! Holy shit!
Could you imagine them with the orchestra behind them?
Right?
Oh man,
I think that Halford would drown out the orchestra.
It'd be like Ride of the Valkyries level. Power.
Metallica's sort of done like their own kind of Unplugged, I think.
Kind of, yeah.
It wasn't a quote unquote MTV Unplugged, but I think they've done their own thing. So
it's interesting. Some bands, there's quite a few that I feel like ended up doing their own.
Kind of that kind of feel.
Unplugged, or at least release an album that's. Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't think about that before.
Did Def Leppard ever do one?
No.
I guess that would have been kind of good. They do like every time I've seen them in concert, they do like
they did a story. They did a VH1 Storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
They did that.
Mm-hmm. They'll do some acoustic stuff on those.
Yeah,
I used to like the storytellers too.
Storytellers.
Yeah, those were always cool.
Yeah.
All right, next one's
first
Storytellers.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Man, I've forgotten about all those. That'd be a really fun one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one I really remember is Meatloaf. That's the only one I really remember vividly.
Yeah. Meatloaf. R.I.P.
Yeah. Talk about a performer. Talk about a performer. I mean, he's an acquired taste, but he was only 50% at the end, but he gave 100% of that 50%.
Oh yeah, he really did. Even though he didn't sing it, write it. I'm sorry, excuse me, but man, he performed the hell out of that stuff. I mean, word for word, he gave it his all.
Yep.
My honorable mentions. I'm sorry, are you through, Jerry? With your honorable
Yeah, I'm done.
The Cure.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
I'm a
I
big
didn't
Cure
even think about
fan.
that. Yeah,
And that barely missed it. That really did barely miss it. What else did I write down? The Kiss one was right there on the verge for me. I saw this one here on their list, but I wasn't too sure if it was an unplugged, but it was the Eagles' Hell Freezes Over. And I didn't put it on there, but it was on the list, but I could have sworn because I got it on CD as well, and I had it on VHS. And I went to that tour, the Hell Freezes Over tour, but I could have sworn that there was some stuff that were plugged in.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it plugged in.
Yeah, like Life in the Fast Lane, and a lot of stuff like that. So I didn't include it in this, on the top 10, but it was on the list for the Unplugged. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed it. The Dylan Unplugged, I like it more now than I did when it came out because now that I'm more into music. Well, no, not more into music, but more into Dylan, where I have a lot of his stuff. Now I'm more familiar with the songs that he did play on there because when it came out, I just knew a handful. But now, I got on CD and I enjoyed it a little bit more, but not so much to make it my top 10. And that's it.
What a great walk down memory lane, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
And thanks for Kate and Al, because this was their idea. Was to do it unplugged. It was Kate and Al that said, "Let's do it unplugged."
We're like,
so
man, we need to do that. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Still waiting for the check.
Yeah.
It's in the mail.
We're gonna post date it to 2050, though. You gotta wait.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the budget on this show is under zero.
It's a very low budget, very. But thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you all. And I'll be out of town next week, but I will be posting
some
videos
live
today. Also, cool. And my next show, our next show, it's going to be on May 24th with I'm so embarrassed. It is confirmed that the hold on.
As you look that up, I wanted to compliment Jerry. I want to compliment Mark and Jerry on that show with Ralph Vieira. That was a good one.
That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
That's the first interaction I've ever had with Ralph. I've always wanted to do something with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show.
He was like the guy that I found that got me into like podcasting, video casting and shit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
he's actually kind of a little intimidating.
Yeah, no,
I
get what you're saying.
He was cool as fuck.
He's Dr. Fuck.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah,
listen to him tell stories. Like I said, he was saying like he apologized for like taking over the show. I'm like, dude, it was freaking awesome hearing your stories, man.
Yeah,
that was a good show.
Yeah,
but I spoke to Ignacio yesterday from the Dawn of the Rising. So him and Ray are going to be with us on May 24th. We're doing top 10 Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
On May 24th. It's a Tuesday. I hope that if y'all want to be a part of it, just to let me know.
May 24th. Oh, shit. I'll be on vacation. Damn.
Yeah, we're doing Maiden.
I'm down. Top 10. I gotta get that.
Like Jerry's whole wall behind him tells you he would.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
But I bet it's hard to get the Dawn of the Rising with their live shows and their recording and stuff like that. So that's what I had to take because actually Bob had this show on the back burner coming up, but right now Bob is doing his thing right now. So
shout out to Bob.
Take over.
Bob's doing okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring my tablet with me, and if I have time, I'll let you know if you don't mind.
Yeah, because I know that this is something that you would like to do, and I remember sometimes you had told me that Tuesdays were not a good day for you sometimes.
Yeah, that's usually my
So-
date night with the wife.
Yeah. So let me know. I'll be in contact with you to see if we got time to
It
do
may
that.
be a day's advance as far as I can tell you yes or no. So
Oh, well, just
because like I said, I'll be on. We're going to Myrtle Beach, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing or
okay.
But
Play it by ear.
definitely send me the info on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I will not forget.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So I'll be in contact with everyone that wants to be a part of it. Let me know. And then up and coming shows, we're doing another vinyl battle. The week after that is going to be Blizzard of Oz versus Heaven and Hell.
Wow.
So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. So I hope that everyone wants to be a part of it. And thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you.
And y'all guys have a nice rest of the week. And thank you guys out there in Facebook land and in YouTube land. Thank you so much for watching and for the comments. We really enjoyed doing this, so thank y'all very much. So I will see y'all later.
Thank you, Andy. Later, Jerry. Later, Kate.
Okay.
Take care, you guys. Good night.
Okay. Bye, Ray.
Cheers.
Bye.